Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. And a good day to you, sir. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, we'll post the show, all 3 hours of it, in fact, upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Doesn't matter if that's an Android or iPhone, we got you. Download that free WTSM app, won't you please? Also, we're on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. Good to see you again. Appreciate you watching us. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Also on Twitter, if you follow the 97.9 ESPN Tallahassee account, you'll see that we're periscoping too.
That's what we do.
Man alive, that is a toughie. That is a tough pill to swallow, my friend. And yet, we kind of hinted at it a little bit yesterday. We never stamped that as a sure thing. Even at one point noting that we're not a good enough program to just assume road ACC wins, was the quote-unquote from your host here. And so I didn't. And yet I have to confess that while I did not cement it, say, yep, we're going to win it, don't worry about it, I did think that the chances of us winning the game were pretty likely. But a disastrous first 10 minutes of the second half and lapses in a lot of areas lead to a sloppy, sorry, and really damaging loss on the road to Wake Forest. Now, I'm not going to go over the top with my condemnation of last night's loss. It's bad. It's certainly not a loss that you say, well, in this league, teams lose to teams like that all the time on the road. No, Wake's bad. Wake's not any good. So you got to win that game. We didn't win that game. Season's not lost, but it's an ugly loss. It's the first bad loss of the year. That's really more than anything else what you can say. It is the first loss this season where definitively you can say, that's not good, that ought not happen, and damn it, guys, I'm angry. You can do that. I got it. Whether it's being completely objective or emotional, either way, you can definitively say, that ain't good.
That was a bad loss. You called me right after the game was over.
Yeah.
And
I was on my way back. I watched it with Florida State golf coach Trey Jones just after we got off the air from the National Golf Show that I do on SiriusXM, Tom. And yeah, we watched and we were dismayed.
Yeah. I was still in angry mode.
Yeah, you were.
I still am, if I think too much about it, because, we get whistled for about 87 fouls in the second half.
Well,
and this is not me.
One of those late was not a foul, and it turned to be costly. But we did so many things wrong, I don't want to cite that.
Correct.
So yeah.
And I'm not even talking about blaming officials here. Just
No,
many
dumb
stupid
things.
situational moments.
Dumb fouls, yeah.
You could have overcome any number of shortcomings, individual performances, defensive lapses.
Sure.
Cleaning the glass at times, the offensive boards for the opposition. You could have overcome all of that, free throw shooting being questionable, if you just handled a few situations better, and you could have said, we got away with one because, we had 3 or 4 guys have a bad night. Angola didn't have points until, 3 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go, whatever it is, hits the mid-range jumper. But, man, nothing gets me more angry than a disappointing basketball loss that seems to take forever to happen. And we were poisoned with a little bit of hope there down the stretch because we get the lead back a couple of times in the final couple of minutes of the game. And you think, woo, are we going to get out of Dodge with this one? Nope. No, we aren't.
Well, I'll tell you where kind of hidden aspect of the game that bothers me, that it kind of leads to this or propels Wake into a position to get this win. We were playing sloppy early and not really intense on the defensive end. But because we went on big runs, including a 13-2 run, you kind of figured the game was taking shape the way that it ought to. Wake has deficiencies on defense, and Florida State can be a very good offensive team. And so even though you're not as intense on defense as you ought to be, and you're allowing too many open looks and too many easy baskets, you're able to come back and knock down a lot of shots, and then eventually Wake starts to miss theirs, and it's starting to play out the way that it should. You get it. It's 39-29. So it's 39-29, and you're under 2 minutes to play in the half. And then you have empty possessions, and they score the last 4 points of the half. And that on the surface doesn't look like the end of the world. But again, when you had a chance to maybe stamp this thing as over and step on a neck, say Wake doesn't go on that run to end the half, and you come out and hit a couple of baskets to start the second half, they're done because they have losing on the mind. That's what they've done 7 games in a row. When the chips have been down, they have not been able to get up. So they're accustomed to playing hard, having spates where they play well, but it's not enough, and the better team ends the game definitively, and they know it, and they go through the emotions, and it's over. But you don't. You let them go on a quick run at the end, so they go to the locker room with a little pep in the step, and as we have many times this year, we come out to start the second half lethargic, almost indifferent. Wake knows it is the lone time in the game that they have an opportunity perhaps to get back in it. So they come out fired up, rested, buoyed by the end of the first half, and they go on a run, and you got a ball game, man. And when you let people hang around that ought not hang around, this is what happens. And we do it a lot. We do. And it is an aspect of this team that I don't like. While I'm mentally prepared for good teams to go on runs and come back in a basketball game, I do get tired of watching trends that involve our team not coming out in the second half playing well. Wake goes on a 10-4 run, and just like that, you're sitting there going, well, they believe. They now think they can win this game, so you've created a monster. If you come out, and it's easier said than done, I got it. They're on scholarship too. They're trying to win. They're at home. They're desperate. But here's the deal. You're a much better basketball team than they are, period. If you come out, and even if that 10-4 run is of the 14 points, 7-7, you just exchange points. The longer that goes on with them down 8, down 9, down 10, the more they are to give in to what they already believe deep down in their hearts themselves to be. Bad. Losers. But no. They go on the run, and now you've got a problem, and now you're sitting there, as we saw, at numerous points. It's 69-68, it's 70-69, it's 72-71, and you're, well, guess what?
Right.
Now the margin of error is so thin, you miss an open look, you miss a layup, you miss a free throw, you're going to lose. And we did.
Yeah, at the end of the first half, you're right. The run they put together, and then they come out, they hit a 3 right away to start the second half.
And
so you're up 9, and it feels like you should be up 9, 10 points, and the next thing you know, you're only up a possession. And what's crazy about that second half and really frustrating is outside of a couple of turnovers, I mean, really, we will give up quality looks. I mean, they don't have to be scores or we were fouling. I feel like 85% of the possessions, and I don't know that I'm exaggerating here, Wake either ended up with a trip to the line, a quality look, or a basket. And that's real. I mean, come on. We're getting in the flow of the second half, going back and forth. And I get they go 4 minutes without a field goal or points, but they're missing a lot of free throws left and right. If they could hit the broadside of a barn at the line, because we surely sent them there enough, we're not even in this game in the last couple of minutes. So there's a lot of ways to look at it of how much better we are than them and what we almost overcame, situationally what we did poor. But if Wake bothered to hit free throws last night, because we surely put them on the line enough, they could have closed us out with 20 a lot more time on the clock.
20 times in the second half.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I'll tell you. Okay, so these are all factors, right? When compiled, you can point to as a reason to lose a game. But sometimes it's also as simple when you lose a game by the slimmest of margins. Sometimes it's also that your best player or most prolific scorer just has a bad game. That also happened. So add on, in addition to all the things we just talked about, Brian Angola had 2 points, man. Well, I dare say Florida State's not beating too many people this year if he has 2 points. Now, we may not have a go-to guy, and we don't. And it may not be that there's a superstar that you defer to, and that's one of the things that creates the balance that I like about this team is that lots of people can help you win a basketball game and pick up a guy who's down. But Brian Angola is one of those guys that you do need to score a little bit. I mean, he's one of your more equipped to-score players on this team in terms of skill set. He can't have that game, and he did. And I say he can't have. I don't want to be one of those guys who is ignoring the fact that the best players in college basketball have bad games, and he's not an elite player in college basketball, so he can have a bad game. But the timing couldn't have been worse, because if he has a bad game on a night where MJ Walker hits 3 threes and gets 2 putbacks, and Phil Kofer does what he does, and you get something out of CJ,
Terrence Mann plays,
right?
Yeah.
Then okay. So Brian, oh, by the way, boy, look at that, a little hiccup there from Brian Angola. Didn't do much in this game. Good thing Terrence Mann had 18. Yeah, if that's the conversation, then you're all right. But the fact that Terrence Mann had 10. The fact that Angola had 2. Now you start. Okay, we're whittling it down to the people that can help you. It ends up being Kofer, but
right.
you need a little bit more balance there.
No, and for me, the thing that I'll just always remember about this game, and maybe it's not the number one thing that I should take away from it, but hey, man, we all experience games differently, and certain things are sticks in our craw. And for me, it was the dumb fouls, in the last 10 minutes of the half. I mean, the number one foul of the game was Kofer with 5 seconds left in the shot clock.
Mm-hmm.
What are you reaching in for? Why? Yeah. Why on earth are you reaching in that situation?
The one at midcourt.
It's CJ Walker's 5th foul,
which is absurd.
We're trapping up the court, and you're tugging his arm. Why? Like, there is no explanation in the world for that. And it's Angola taking a bad angle along the sideline and fouling again when Florida State's trying to pressure up the court defensively, and we're doing pretty well. Wake does look a little bit discombobulated, but you're bailing them out with fouls.
Well,
I don't care that they don't make them. In the end, that's a result that you're kind of getting away with it, but just it's not smart. It's not smart basketball. And then you get the bad call that you talk about where Mann's lunging for the basketball after we triple team somebody down low, pin him on the baseline.
Well, yeah, we do a good job on defense and create the missed shot and the turnover, and
right.
And we get the ball. And by the way, I'm projecting.
We're going to win the game.
We're going to win the game. That's a crap call. Now, that's not why you lost.
Sure.
But
you're in that situation because you did a lot of dumb things. And I know we're not going to be a good team defensively. And this is something where you're like, calm down. We're not going to be good defensively because at this point of the season, that's who we are.
But we're not going to get better there.
But we will give a kick-out open look like the best of them. Holy smokes.
I think you can play with a little bit more intensity on the defensive side. I'm not expecting us to transform into a defensive monster when we haven't been one this year. But I do think you can play more consistently on that end and give yourself a chance to allow the offense to overwhelm and win games. And, again, it's after losses like this, I think, where it is necessary for coaches to be even keel. I listened to Leonard Hamilton last night, went back and listened to it again today, him in the postgame and the things that he had to say. And there's no doubt this loss pissed him off. He's not happy. But, at the same time, one of the things about him that is, I think, rewarding and perhaps the thing that is steadying within the program is that the ups, the downs, he's the same guy. He when they win big games, you don't see him jumping around. He'll walk over and he may, you may cast a smile, but he calmly walks over, shakes a hand, tells everybody good job, talks to some of the other kids on the other team, and then he's steady Eddie. When they lose a heartbreaking game, somebody buries a 3 at the buzzer against us. If you ever watch him, he's just, oh, well, that's a toughie. And he'll walk over and shake hands. And that is a steadying force. Kids need to know that, especially when it's going bad, like it was earlier this year when we had lost, 3 straight, and you're 2-4. You don't see him freaking out. He's got to get better, got to play better, win the next game. Let's just play. And they do. They end up winning 3 straight games. Okay, he's going to have to be the same guy here, even though deep down I could tell that one bothered him a little bit. He was a little terse in the postgame, because I think defensively, when you allow a team to come out and score 43 points in the second half of this basketball game on 52% from the field, that says something. That's not a good message. This team has been tough. They've been mentally tough. They've been physically tough. That's not tough.
Well, it's 40 what? Sorry.
43 points.
43. Okay, they could have scored at least 50 to 55 points with, again, with free throws. How many front end? They missed a couple of front ends.
They were 13 of 20 from the free throw line in the second half.
I mean, good Lord.
They shot 52% from the field, though. They did hit 4 of 7 from beyond the arc, so they were very good there.
We didn't hit a 3 in the second half, did we?
No, we were over.
Yeah.
No, listen, when you look at Florida State...
it's a miracle we were in the game down the stretch.
Well, we shot 13 of 30, 43%. We were 0 of 7 from beyond the arc. And we shot only 58% from the free throw line, which was capped off by Kofer's 2 misses.
In and out.
In the closing minute.
I mean,
By the way, to my larger point about the defense.
Yeah.
So juxtapose the first half stats and the second half stats, and it tells you everything. Florida State got out-rebounded in the second half, outshot. Wake went to the line more, made 4 of 7 from the free throw line. And
3-point line.
3-point line, what did I say, 3-second line? And
free throw line. Sorry.
Yeah, and then they didn't turn it over. So Wake in this first half, Wake's turning it over. Florida State shoots better. They out-rebound Wake. The reason you're leading at half is self-evident. The stats bear it out. You can see why that is. But in the second half, lazy on defense across the board allows for that to happen. It's sloppy. It's bad. I don't know. I think it's impossible to ask for a consistent effort in perpetuity. Like, you're going to have a game where guys don't play well, and last night was the game that guys didn't play well. But it's nonetheless frustrating.
Well, and it feels similar to a lot of scripts that we read before from the season. I mean, the Louisville game is tough, and that's a much better team than Wake Forest is. Right, yeah. But you feel kind of the same way. You get out way ahead. You're in the last 3-4 minutes of the first half, and you're saying, this is what we should be doing. Okay, I like this. We're up 10. We're set the pace here. And then they lose the situations of last possession first half, first possession second half. Now it's a 3-point game.
There's 2 possessions of the first half and first possession.
Well, sure, I'm talking about the 3 balls.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It's that 3-pointer at the buzzer that sends them, sprinting into the locker room.
Sure.
If that thing is at 9 points, even though they scored a possession there and we didn't, they're not running in there feeling like they had the momentum. Then they come out, they hit a quick 3, and now it's on. And I feel like it's not following through or learning from an earlier lesson, an earlier season lesson. But if Angola makes half his shots or 40% of his shots, then we're not talking about it.
No, that's funny because you could take all the numbers away and just all the stuff we were talking about and just say, because we don't want to do this because it's blaming one guy, and especially a guy who's been really good for us. But you can remove all of those things and say, well, if my man doesn't go one for the world and score 2 points, we win.
Well, 14 points every single ACC game or more, heading into last night.
So if he scores 8,
right,
6, we win. Sometimes it is that
maybe
simple.
A timely 3-pointer, just 5
just
total.
Anything.
5 total.
Yeah, give me 5 points. I'll take it. Now, here's what happens. With that loss, combined with the wins last night by Miami, Virginia Tech, it drops us from 5th place to 8th place. On the surface, that's an 8th place tie. On the surface, that's not as big a deal because obviously these things flip game to game. You can go from 9th to 4th to 8th to 6th, very quickly. But we're now tied with UNC at 5-5, and with Louisville and Virginia on the horizon. There is cause to get concerned because you're going to drop further in the standings. And listen, I don't care about the top of the standings. Virginia is going to win the ACC. I've said it for 6-7 games in a row. Virginia is the best team in the conference. They continue to prove it. They beat Louisville last night, and they're an awesome team. It is something to behold. I mean, they're 10-0 in this conference. They're 21-1. They've won 13 straight games. So, okay, they're in another class. I got you. But we do have to play them. And they just vanquished Louisville, and Louisville's going to be upset, and Louisville would like to hold on or have a chance to finish in the top 2 of this league. And they're now tied with Duke and Clemson. So Louisville will come out at home and play extremely well, and that's who we got next. So that's a little unsettling. I'll continue to project a little bit because I've been pretty good with this group, and I've got some projections early here that are going to make you a little unhappy, but I'm going to give you my normal advice here. Hold on. All is not here, guys.
Yet. Not yet.
No, but I mean, again,
But there's nothing. I mean, you could go 0-2 in the next week, and that's kind of still a projection.
Right.
Like that's an expectation.
Right. And I remember what I did before when I said I can see the red panic button, but I'm not mashing it. I don't see the red panic button. I will see the red panic button will show itself to me when we lose this weekend to Louisville, which we're going to do. So when that happens, I'm going to go, oh, I see you peeking out from behind the drapes, red button.
Would you rather be 5-5 having lost to Miami and beaten Wake, or beaten Miami and lost to
because
Wake?
these quality wins are going to help you. I mean, this is a bad loss.
I agree, just from an emotional standpoint.
No, screw Miami eternally.
Okay.
It's good to beat them at all times. But what I'm going to say is that you have quality wins here to help offset this one really bad loss. And just about everybody has a bad loss if you're a middling team in the conference or any of the Power Five. So what I'll say is this. If you have a road win over Florida and you have the win, obviously, over Miami, and you have the win over North Carolina, et cetera, you have some quality wins here. So when we get down to that Selection Sunday, if we are a bubble team and you've got 6 or 7 really nice wins and one real bad loss, well, okay. I mean, you're going to be all right. But, collect those quality wins. If you're a bubble team, you need somebody at the desk to go, well, I know what their RPI is, and I know they have that loss, but look at these wins. Man, if you're nervous, I can sense it, and so are a lot of people. Spring game is set. We'll talk about it in the post-game concert to boot. We'll get you updated in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC.
Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. It's Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
hardest working man in comedy is back. Kevin Hart. It's the Irresponsible Tour.
I caught my dad giving my kids raw candy out of his pocket. Candy with no wrapper. It was loose. It was just in his pocket. He said,
The box office smash comedian, Kevin Hart.
Where the lines at on that peppermint?
Kevin Hart.
5 minutes go by, I saw my dad take that peppermint out of his mouth, put it back in his pocket. Those were half-sucked on peppermints.
Friday, October 12th in Tucker Civic Center. Get tickets at the box office and online at tuckerciviccenter.com. Don't miss Kevin Hart.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car, a used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio. Baseball is back. Did I see this right? Old J.J. Cosentino taking it on down the road. Best of luck to you, young man. He's kind of had the best of all worlds beyond just the. I mean, if you desired to be productive at the school that you played on the field, then he didn't have that. But if you just wanted to be a football player at Florida State University and reap the benefits, it would appear that he has done so from afar. I think this is not me demonizing him. This is like, way to go, young man. I mean, the pictures people send of him enjoying college life via the Twitter over the years have suggested that he has reaped the benefits, Tom.
Well, that's good, because he certainly has taken a beating from everywhere else.
Yes, the fan base has certainly not appreciated that he did not emerge as an elite quarterback. But he was a flyer in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a project. He came from an offense that didn't throw the football, so.
But he had all the tools. You take your chances on size and speed.
Yeah, Coach Fisher used to talk about that. It really would have never been a story if the other situations surrounding him hadn't played out the way that they did. And that has been a big story in general. It's one that still resonates to this very moment, to where people wonder what that quarterback competition is going to look like come spring. Speaking of which, spring football, the Garnet and Gold game has been announced. It's good news. Everybody gets to find out what things look different, what things look the same, what things are going to be exciting and new, and part of the new Willie Taggart era on April the 14th. It's the Garnet and Gold spring football game. It's going to take place at 6 o'clock at Doak Campbell Stadium. I'm pumped. I know you are.
Yeah, well, the baseball game that day, that's right.
2 o'clock, right?
The baseball game here in Tallahassee, not on the road, but here. It starts at 2 o'clock, and that means that you can get a one-stop shop. Parking is free around the stadium, too, and general admission tickets that you have to pay this year. But I think it's $10 day of, and I read on War Chant that's $5 in advance if you get them in advance. So there you go.
They quickly have capitalized and on the whole pay to watch the spring game thing, haven't they?
Well, this would be the year, wouldn't it? Yeah.
You got to do it. I got no problem with it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I used to say for years back in the day that if they wanted to, I mean, look, if you're trying to help out the athletic programs at Florida State University and you want to give and help out any way you can, I don't think too many people would ever say as you walked into Doak that it was a big deal if there was a donation bucket. Like for a long time, I thought for the spring game, I'm going back a long ways now. saying, just put donation buckets out there. Most people are in good moods.
They did that anyway for a couple of years.
They did, but
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, there was nothing. It was just
Correct.
free to everybody, which
Yeah.
is nice, great. I mean, nobody turns down free. I mean, I'm a member of the press, so are you, so we were going to get in free either way. But I always thought, well, listen, if you're trying to make some money, and every athletic department is, you're always in need of that. At every one of the entrances, you should have a donate to Florida State Athletics, Florida State Scholarships, whatever it might be, at the door, because people are tailgating. They're having a good time. They're there with their buddies. This is the day that they're embracing all things Florida State Athletics. So they'll give. They'll reach in their pocket and throw $10 in the hat. So I don't have a problem with that. And they have a concert. And I'm relieved to find out what it is, because we had early advances of what I was going to have to read originally, and it's not what they chose. Instead, we have an I Love the 90s tour, which, by the way, is really more of an I Love the 80s tour.
Yeah, I think so, but it's what it's doing is combining with every other thing that they're pushing with the spring game and saying it's a throwback celebration. So they want to, if you
Throw it back, baby.
If you like the old logo, there's actually a lot of old logo merchandise for sale right now in
Do you think
conjunction
there are
with
some
this game.
fans that like the old logo, Tom? Have you ever heard from them?
I prefer the logo.
Yeah.
But, that's me.
So it's going to be, and these are very popular these days, all these people who have seen their career kind of wind down, if you will, at least in the present, have had a resurgence. It's always the way it is. If you stick around long enough, whatever's old becomes new again, and you get your opportunity to get paid. In this case, Salt and Peppa, Vanilla Ice, Rob Bass. Can't have DJ EJ Rock because he's dead, if I remember correctly. He just passed away recently, I think.
Really?
I do believe that's
well,
true.
with music,
that's
I'm
who
just
Rob
going to
Bass
trust
was.
you.
Yeah. So, yes, it is a themed post-game I Love the 90s tour stop, as they're calling it, with Salt and Pepper, Vanilla Ice, Rob Bass. That will be fun.
That will be fun. Yeah, because all the Doak After Dark stuff that they had done before was kind of angled a certain direction.
Way.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm glad you brought that up as we go to break here. These were my reads before we found out that they're not doing that at all. It was a very different theme prior to what was announced today. So I'm excited as we go to break. I'm glad you still have those in the system. And after the game, the fun continues as the Tallahassee night sky will light up with fireworks and music from the Southern Sensibilities Tour. Artists such as Alabama-Georgia Border, joined by Eli Whitney and the Cotton Gin Buckets, Cotton Fields, George Washington Carver and the Peanuts, Yeti Calloway and the Salt Life Susans, Sawyer Brown and the Riverboat Jessies, Tracy Tritt, winner of the AMA Male Country Rising Star Award, will perform his hit single, This Is My Country, Breezy Moss and the Southern Fields, and Grand Pappy's Pipe, the Nathan Bedford Forest Fires. For ticket information, log on to springgame.com.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 minutes. We'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
For nausea and the symptoms of gastroparesis. Qualified participants will receive study-related care and medication at no charge. Call 844-902-1212. That's 844-902-1212. This ad sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9, happy hour drink specials, and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are now available on West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Enjoy Bud Light with your friends in the Pit of Misery. Enter to win 4 tickets to a FSU basketball game for you and your friends. Enjoy complimentary Bud Lights and cheer on the Seminoles from the Pit of Misery. Visit Facebook.com/Tri-Eagle Sales to enter to win. The winner will receive 4 tickets to a FSU basketball game, complimentary Bud Lights, and a Dilly Dilly prize pack. 3 winners will be chosen. Who would you take to the Pit of Misery? Dilly Dilly! Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
During Aaron's anniversary sale, you're going to be blown away. Get big lease-to-own savings on an LG 65-inch 4K TV, an Amana laundry pair, bedrooms, living rooms, and so much more. Plus, get 6 months same as cash with no credit needed and free delivery and setup. All month long, come to a participating Aaron's store and get 6 months same as cash. Or visit Aaron's.com during Aaron's anniversary sale. Transaction advertised as a rental purchase agreement. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
I am here for, yes, you want debauchery, you want gambling, yes, big bets on all games, spill money, let's be less repressed as a country around entertainment. I'm here for all of it. But you guys haven't been. And the idea that Adam Silver right now is in First Take and he's wearing a blackjack outfit and he's at a dealer's table and says, place your bets, and he wants 1% of all gambling done on basketball.
Smart, man.
It is smart, but I can't believe you guys are meeting this with a shrug of your shoulders because you love judging this bleep. Like, this will send you straight to church on Sundays just thinking about it. Usually, if Silver is in the situation that he presently finds himself in, it's not as a blackjack dealer dressed up, hey, I'm bringing you gambling and fun. It's usually the guy outside the church waving a Bible who says all evil can be found in Silver's kingdom.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Super Bowl 52 is now just over 72 hours away for the Eagles and the Patriots. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen says New England could have some problems with the Eagles defense.
They're just so good at all 3 levels. They can rotate guys in and out. Of course, Fletcher Cox gets a lot of the recognition up front, but they got 7 guys who really can get after you up front. So if your protection plans aren't really sound, if you don't have a really good idea of how we're going to handle pressure, how we're going to handle this front when they just rush 4, you're going to be in for a long day.
Greg Olsen on Golick and Wingo here on ESPN Radio. Suns guard Isaiah Cannon has a broken left ankle. He took a scary fall after a drive to the basket against the Mavericks last night. Cannon is having surgery today. The Court of Arbitration for Sport overturns the doping suspensions of 28 Russian athletes, including several Olympic medalists from the 2014 Sochi Games. The International Olympic Committee, though, says it is not obliged to invite those 28 athletes to the Pyeongchang Winter Games, which start next week.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. So I just listened to, as we were in break there, the promo for Le Batard and talking about Adam Silver and sports gambling and all of that. And I was eager this week, and this is one of the few things that comes out of Super Bowl week and the time off as you await this game with all of the hype and the oversaturation of player interviews and statistics, is that you get the State of the League address, and he has to, Roger Goodell does, the NFL commissioner, answer difficult questions. Invariably, that's the forum in which he is asked specifically about things that he'd probably rather not talk about. And one of those has been, in recent times, the NFL's stance on sports betting. And rather apocryphal as it is, given that fantasy football helps the NFL, and certainly gambling on the games is a big part of why it's so wildly popular across the country. And, I don't know, you allowed the Oakland Raiders to move to Las Vegas, even though you say, it had nothing to do. Get the hell out of here with that. So I wanted to hear what he would say. I wanted to know what his stance would be. And in the past, and this is how you know that it is changing, and if you're a responsible adult who believes that you're free to do with your money what you wish as it is yours, then you're happy to hear this. Because he said in the past that he denounced gambling on football, and NFL football in particular, and sports betting in general, and that he took almost a moralist view of the situation. But again, it was a contradiction for what they allowed in so many other areas of the sport. And so ahead of the Super Bowl, and on the verge of a verdict expected from the U.S. Supreme Court on the federal sports wagering ban, Goodell spoke with the media. He also went on nationally with Golic and Wingo, and you could have heard him here on these airwaves if you were listening at that exact moment. And he was asked about it there. So again, you have in the NBA a commissioner who's forward-thinking and is embracing federal or state-level regulation of sports betting, okay? And they've proposed quote, an integrity fee. They'd like to make a little money off this, is what they're saying. Okay, fine, we'll allow, but we'd like to make some cash.
Yeah, they want to make money off of it.
1% of all wagers, right?
Correct, and and that's a change.
It's a ton.
Yeah, but what they want to do with it as well is earmark those dollars to create, a sector of the league office that makes sure things are on the up and up.
Right, which is already what, by the way, the big gaming offices and houses and obviously casinos do. That's what they do. That's one of the services, if only because they want those wagers, as we've talked about before, to be on the up and up. They closely monitor those lines and see if there are radical shifts that would indicate impropriety. Goodell talked about it this way, quote, where is the relationship or the idea of the separation of – okay, excuse me, this is Trey Wingo's question. Where is the relationship or the idea of separation of the NFL and gambling right now as we're moving forward? And he kind of yammered on, didn't really say much, but then said this. To me, it's very clear. It's about the integrity of the game. You don't want to do anything that's going to impact negatively on the integrity of the game, which could launch us into an entirely new conversation. You want to be certain that there are no outside influences on our game and that fans don't even have an issue with that. They understand, whether there's a perception or not, that there's no influence on our game. And that's something that we stand firmly behind. It's regarding the integrity of the game, which is really a way of not saying anything.
It's a way of not saying anything and saying something stupid all at the same time, because if there's $4.7 billion going to be wagered on this year's Super Bowl this weekend, people are betting on it. Stop it.
Yeah, no,
don't
stop
act
pretending like it's not happening.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. If you're going to legalize it, now all of a sudden people are going to bet on it. That's ridiculous.
Also, this idea that the players could be got, that harkens back to a bygone era. In the 50s and the 60s, when players across all sports were making pennies compared to what they're making now, where many of them had to have other jobs in the offseason because they were not paid with millions of dollars of salary. They were instead making whatever, $60,000 or something like that. They would get other jobs as painters and whatever. They could be bought. That's how those kinds of scandals happened in the early 1900s. That's, what you're looking at with the Black Sox and things like that, because those guys weren't making any money. People in the outside world were making more money than they were. There were teachers who made more money than second basemen in Major League Baseball. And so they could be had. How are you going to get one of these guys? You're going to go to Tom Brady, who's worth, $400 million? What are you going to offer him that he says yes to put in jeopardy his freedom and the rest of his life, his career, his legacy, his accomplishment, you couldn't get him. You couldn't get a bench warmer anymore either. Those guys are getting paid over $200,000-$300,000 a year.
You don't think you could get to maybe a kicker, something like that?
A guy who would have an impact on the game, like could alter the game.
A kicker is one.
A kicker could alter the game, sure. That's an iffy proposition as the guy trying to get the fix in. What if there's never a chance to kick a field goal?
Yeah.
What if there's never, there's
kickoff out of bounds?
You got to you got to influence people who touch the ball frequently.
Sure.
Your starting running back, starting wide receiver, starting quarterback. You're not getting those guys because they're multimillionaires. So the idea, he's harkening back to a time where that could be that could happen. NBA stars are not going to go out and tank a game when they make $10, $12, $14, $16 million a year.
Yeah, especially that sport, baseball too. If you were to look at the big three in the country, then football would be the lead dog because of lack of guarantees and all that kind of stuff. So if you could be promised,
even that's changing though.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's enough action on said game. It would have to be like a Super Bowl, right? Because
it would have to be a huge game, and it would have to be a player that influences the game, disproportionate. Like you'd have to find a guy like a quarterback, like pretty much only a quarterback, who touches the ball on every play.
Sure.
What are you going to pay off a safety? Maybe.
How about a play caller?
Oh, well, you coaches?
Yeah. How about a play caller? They make a lot of money too, but still.
I was going to say, they make a lot of money. And if
call it a terrible game.
If they value, boy, I don't know. Again, when you talk about these kinds of fixes, the fact that, okay, so let's go ahead and try to play that out. So the mob or whomever you want to suggest is influencing this.
Russian mob.
Okay. They're willing to what? Pay a coordinator, an offensive coordinator, $1 million?
I don't know. It would have to be a lot.
It'd have to be a lot of money.
$10 million or something like that.
First of all, we're starting with an absurd sum of money that you're going to have to pay off a coordinator.
Which is why I'm saying it would have to be a huge game. It has to be a massive game. It can't be your week 3, Sunday primetime game.
But here's your problem, Tom, because if now the Russian mob comes in and says, screw it, let's give so-and-so $50 million to alter his play calling to ensure that we cover the game or win the game. Once the fix is in, the line's going to Vegas is monitoring the line. Do you know how much money people would have to make to get their investment back?
Sure.
So you couldn't do that without them going, what the hell is going on here?
No, agreed. It would have to happen in a lower level. Maybe like a Browns and I'm not trying to think who even sucks right now. Like Browns, 49ers before Garoppolo. Yeah, like the two crappy teams in Week 17. And he could pay somebody a couple mil. I don't know. The problem over there, overseas right now with the Russian mob influence, Real Sports did a story on this. Yeah, low-level tennis, low-level soccer.
Right. They're fixing games where people aren't making any money. That's the point.
Yeah.
The people that aren't making any money can be had. Not big leagues like the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball. You can't get to those guys anymore. You could maybe even as late as the early 80s. You really can't get to those guys.
And not if you get the integrity fee, too, and you say, well, this is a brand new pool of money worth, half a bill or whatever that we're splitting between the league and the players union. And now your salary pool goes up across the board by $250 million because we have this integrity fee because of gambling.
But this has long been the stance of Roger Goodell and other commissioners where they hearken back to a bygone era where you have this nefarious figure sitting in a dark room with the shades drawn, calling in the starting quarterback or the starting pitcher for that afternoon's game, suggesting that they need a favor. I mean, it's not the natural. Like that stuff's not happening.
How about an official?
Well, we saw it in the NBA.
Right.
That did happen. Of course, it got exposed.
If you have an NFL, head referee or line judge or somebody who could call pass interference. How about that?
But remember, that got exposed once again because of those who benefit from games being on the up and up. They found the pattern. So, again, Vegas does your dirty work for you because they need the games. They're not going to be able to garner bets from the public if the public thinks that it's sullied, that it's not a legit competition, that somebody's on the take. So Vegas is closely monitoring, and if you might have a few games go by or even a few weeks go by where somebody, and they're going to go, we got a problem here. Every time that guy officiates a game, something weird happens, and it gets exposed.
Or an umpire. Now that I'm thinking about it, the big game idea probably doesn't work as much as if you have a long season, 162 in baseball, 82 in basketball, shaving points or,
right,
helping out a cause for a run or two, one way or the other, an error.
Well, okay.
In the course of a Tuesday night in the dead of night on the West Coast and nobody's watching, maybe there's an opportunity. The leagues are all vetting this out themselves anyway, but
and some
kind of
are
a fun exercise.
Some are a little bit more forward thinking. The reason that the Pete Rose thing was such a big deal, beyond the fact that that was the rule, the only real rule that you could not violate. It was in every dugout, every locker room, every clubhouse. It was known that was the one you could not violate, and he did, and then lied about it, and then threw other people under the bus and ruined their lives as well. The reason that was a big deal was because when you're a manager, even if you're betting on your team to win, it influences the outcome of games and the integrity of the game, because you might go to a closer who's got better stuff in consecutive days instead of resting him because you bet on that particular game. So even though he fell back on but I bet on my teams to win. Well, that's great, man. It's still the problem because it influences your daily decisions in a 162-game season.
Okay, so if we circle to the big point then, enforcing players and coaches not to bet on the games themselves.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if it's legal, now there are more means to get, wagers in.
Yeah, well,
funnel money to a friend or something along those lines.
I suppose that probably still already happens, and there's nothing you can do about that. There's some aspects that you can't close the window on. Any coach that does that has put their lifeblood, everything on the line. They're so well paid. If you're a professional manager, if you are an MLB manager, NFL head coach, NBA head coach, you're a multi-millionaire. And I don't think there are a lot of conspiracy theorists out there always, especially when weird things happen in games, but I have rarely, if ever, thought that you have widespread corruption in that way. By the way, so the evolution of this is what he didn't say, right? He didn't say on sports betting that, and he used to repeat over and over again, that they were actively opposed to the legalization of sports gambling. That's what he used to say. He had multiple opportunities to say it here, and he wouldn't. So he's already changed his stance there. It was what he omitted to say that was different. And he also went on to say, quote, and this wasn't an actual saying of something for once by the guy, I don't think 10 years ago most people would have looked at having an NFL franchise or even an NHL franchise in Las Vegas. Clearly, we see changes occurring. The Supreme Court is considering changes potentially in the laws with respect to gambling across the country. I think we're going to be prepared as a league to address those changes. He's basically come completely around. That is a yes.
That's a yes. Well, in listening to a lot of national minds who get to have guests on, be it Le Batard had a legal expert on who's involved in the case, the commissioners themselves, it sounds as though all of the commissioners in the major sports are cheering Adam Silver on. They just
do it.
Right. They just don't want to get in front of the camera and be a front man the way that he is being a front man right now.
He's unabashed. He learned well, and he's smart, and he's not afraid. The American Gambling Association estimates now that the American public will wager $4.8 billion on the game. The bets will take place via offshore sports books and illegal bookies about town. Yes. Betting on the NFL is big business, to say the least. Hour number 2, fourth coming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Oh no! My lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
The hardest working man in comedy is back. Kevin Hart. It's the Irresponsible Tour.
I caught my dad giving my kids raw candy out of his pocket. Candy with no wrapper. It was loose. It was just in his pocket. He said,
The box office smash comedian, Kevin Hart.
Where the lines at on that peppermint?
Kevin Hart.
5 minutes go by, I saw my dad take that peppermint out of his mouth, put it back in his pocket. Those were half-sucked on peppermints.
Friday, October 12th in Tucker Civic Center. Get tickets at the box office and online at tuckerciviccenter.com. Don't miss Kevin Hart.
It's Golic and Wingo.
Alex Smith just came off a season where he threw for over 4,000 yards for the first time, completed 68% of his passes, had 26 touchdown throws and only 5 interceptions, and it wasn't good enough in Kansas City. Well, it wasn't good enough because they are all in on Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
The kid they drafted last year out of Texas Tech.
Man, I get it if you're going to be all in on a young quarterback. And remember, Andy Reid and the Chiefs moved way up to get Pat Mahomes. But my gosh, I'm amazed at what goes on with Alex Smith, getting ousted in San Fran by Colin Kaepernick and now ousted by Pat Mahomes, a guy who has done nothing. Listen, he's going to struggle. Pat Mahomes did not play his rookie year, barely at all. There is no chance on God's green earth he comes in next year and lights it up. He is going to struggle, and there's something amazing to me about the fact that you have a Chief team that can win now, that you're going to go now to a young quarterback. I'm a little surprised.
Golic and Wingo, weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Super Bowl 52 is now just over 72 hours away for the Eagles and the Patriots. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen says New England could have some problems with the Eagles' defense.
They're just so good at all three levels. They can rotate guys in and out. Of course, Fletcher Cox gets a lot of the recognition up front, but they got 7 guys who really can get after you up front. So if your protection plans aren't really sound, if you don't have a really good idea of how we're going to handle pressure, how we're going to handle this front when they just rush 4, you're going to be in for a long day.
Greg Olsen on Golic and Wingo here on ESPN Radio. Suns guard Isaiah Cannon has a broken left ankle. He took a scary fall after a drive to the basket against the Mavericks last night. Cannon is having surgery today. The Court of Arbitration for Sport overturns the doping suspensions of 28 Russian athletes, including several Olympic medalists from the 2014 Sochi Games. The International Olympic Committee, though, says it is not obliged to invite those 28 athletes to the Pyeongchang Winter Games, which start next week.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hello, hope you're doing well. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We are online as always, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Email the show if you want. It's jcs@979ESPNradio.com. Always catching up over there, but we appreciate the input. Occasionally, there's even fodder that is born from that email inbox. On Twitter, it's at @JCameron Show. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. So, spring football game, 6 o'clock kickoff, and 2 o'clock baseball on that day. Woohoo! That's April the 14th. Mark it on your calendars. Good times. What are you really most interested in seeing from the spring game? Which we always note is something that we get excited about and then quickly remember is just a spring game. But this would be very different because you have an entirely new system being run.
Yeah, it's offense. Now, defense is more important to us when it comes to the success of the season. But the spring game is about looking at the offense itself and seeing what these athletes look like under the circumstances of Willie's offense. That's great. So that's, for me, number one. What do I care about more developing in season? Defense. Are we able to make stops, especially if we're running at a breakneck pace? But for the spring game purposes, all right, let's see that new Ferrari. How's it look?
Man, if you get some stops early in a game, it is going to be fun, those moments where we score a couple times, we got people on their heels, and then you get a couple of stops to go with because it's the making of a 60-something to 10 type game at that point. And you're like,
yes, yeah.
Haven't had one of those in a while.
There's a danger factor for every one of the opponents, and that the anxiety of that is real. And you didn't really feel that from the other sidelines with not just the way we won and lost games this year, but the pace we ran.
That is true.
You're always going to be in it.
Well, we suffered an embarrassing loss last night. Definitely not one that can be categorized as, hey, one of these things happen occasionally. Not really. Wake's won 2 games in the conference this year and had lost 7 straight previous. They're only better than Pitt in this league, and were frankly reeling as we came to town. However, having said all of that, it did have the feel of a trap game, and one that I kind of worried about beforehand. It's why I didn't chalk it up in the win column, despite Wake's problems. Wake can score; they don't really bother to defend, and they haven't played well home or away. But if you let a team that can score hang around and you don't play very good defense, and we don't, that is an Achilles heel of this particular team, you get a little nervous. And it happened, and it really happened towards the end of the first half. A little run at the end of the half undoes some of the good that you had built up, right? The lead it felt comfortable. And then over the last minute and a half, it was suddenly kind of washed away to some extent with that late run at the end of the first half. So the equity built up there is removed, and then right off the bat, you come out in the second half, and you would think after that occurred, that after you kind of had allowed for that little mini run at the end of the half, that you would have said, okay, well, let's come out and reestablish ourselves. Let's come out and dominate. But that has not been the MO this year of Florida State basketball. While I praise them all the time for being mentally tough and for hanging in games and even for coming back consistently in games, many of which they've been down by a lot, they battle all the time. So that's never going to be an issue. But they do have weaknesses, and one of those is on defense, and seemingly one of those is the start of second halves. because we never seem to come out on fire in the second half and establish ourselves. And, Wake goes on a run. It goes on a 10-4 run immediately at the start of the second half. And in the first 3 minutes and 15 seconds, this thing's tied at 43. And you're just going, well, what happened? A moment ago, we were fine. And now we're not fine. And you worried because you knew, and I knew, I think we did. I know Kofor came back down and hit a couple of baskets. And that Wake began to struggle to score after that little mini run. But I'm not going to lie, Tom, I thought at 43-all with 15 or so minutes to play, damn it, this is going to come down to the end. You knew right then and there.
Yeah, this game could have already been over, because then they go on a run, but that run gets it to 7. The run doesn't put them in the lead. That's the hard part here. And again, for me, the hardest part overnight and into the morning was there's just so many situations where we just did not play smart defense, smart basketball. We're fouling for no reason. We got foul happy in that half. I get it, the refs are calling a tight game, but you know that by that point. And a couple of the decisions we made and the fouls we took, one was by Kofor with 5 seconds left in a half-court possession where we're playing good defense and you don't have to have it. And then there's a couple other fouls, one by CJ, one by Angola, when we're pressing and putting pressure on Wake Forest up the court and forcing them to get across the timeline, and you bail them out. I just, the funny part is the reason the game is pretty much over is because after you miss the second free throw with Kofor, you don't foul. That was the hard part. It's like, wow, so now we pick a time not to foul, and they're going to flush it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's tough. It's definitely you fall on your face on the road and lose a game you ought not lose, period. It does happen. It's not one of those things I'm going to say the season is now, off the rails, but you put yourself in a bad position because that bad loss is somewhere now akin to a couple of games last year where you struggled and you lost to, Georgia Tech, and remember the Pitt game and some frustrating moments from a year ago. But we had done some good things, especially at home a year ago, by beating Florida, by beating Duke, by beating Louisville, by beating Notre Dame. This year's team has some quality wins. So in that way, it's similar. This is a really bad loss. But I will say it puts you in jeopardy. That, in essence, that's what it does. It puts you in jeopardy because now you have 8 games left on the regular season schedule. Let's take a look at that. You begin to wonder, okay, let's count wins. Let's count the games that we think, okay, if we get these, we're going to be all right. So you have, well, let's start with the obvious. You have 4 remaining home games, but those aren't all games, and I know we play exceptionally well at home, but those aren't all games that you say automatically, I like our chances to win those games. In fact, we're underdogs at home against Virginia, and Virginia's really good.
Yeah.
Undefeated in conference.
Like Clemson a week later.
Yeah. Virginia and Clemson, I'm going to chalk up Virginia more towards the loss column than not. I'm not saying we can't win, but, you're inclined to think Virginia's going to win that game. Clemson's 50-50 with the way they've played. They're a good team. I mean, they just are. And I'll give us wins against Pitt and BC. So of the 4 remaining home games, you're only going to put 2 in ink in the win column. All right? You add – and if you won – by the way, if you won all 4 of those games, forget about it. We're rolling on Big River.
No, we're moonwalking into the tournament.
It's over. But – again, that's not likely to happen. And that would obviously be a case where then all of a sudden it really wouldn't matter what you did on the road. But here's what remains on the road. At Louisville this weekend, loss. At Notre Dame, okay. You got a shot in that game. We'll see. At NC State, same thing. Got a shot in that game. At Clemson, I don't have a good feel for that. I don't think we'll play well there. I don't. We're a long ways out, but I don't feel like we'll play well.
You can look at it a lot of different ways, home, away. But I look at you're playing Clemson twice. You should win one of those. I mean, come on.
Oh, you're going to split with Clemson. I agree with that. Whether you win the home game or the road game, you're going to split with Clemson.
So now find us 3. Pitt's 1.
Pitt and BC.
2. Here we go.
Now, yeah. And so here's where you're at. You've got to find a win against Notre Dame or NC State. It's doable. That's why I'm not panicked.
Or one of the next 2.
Well, fine. If you'd like, let's just win the remaining home games.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Then forget about it.
And we're cruising.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what happens then. Can FSU would 8 and 10 get the Noles in the tournament? Under that scenario, they'll have 5 RPI top 50 wins and maybe 2 bad losses. I guess you would assume either that they would have a loss against the likes of Notre Dame or maybe Boston College to go with that Wake game. Yeah. So they would have probably a bad loss. And so you would maybe be in a situation where at 8-10, you could probably be in the last 4 in type group.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't hurt to win a couple games in the tournament. I know that never fortifies a resume and throws somebody over the top unless they get to the final or they win the damn thing. I think people value it more than it actually is by the committee itself. But still, it wouldn't hurt at that point to win a round or two.
I was interested. I got an email today. Good job, Dave, as always, with your emails. And I was reading some observations that he made, and he was saying that one thing that if you're going through these games and you're trying to decipher, okay, what do we project now? This loss hurts us, and now we're scrambling, and that's the problem with that damn loss is now we're scrambling to figure out exactly, okay, do we have 3 more wins? Can we get to 3 more wins? You're doing that. Well, what happens when you do that if you project 8-10, however you do it? You then are saying, okay, well, that's iffy. I think we would get in, but it's iffy. Becomes much more of a certainty as long as we don't see a lot of these bubble teams get in, and it's a weak bubble this year. The AAC, the A10, Conference USA, MVC, WCC, looks like they may only get 1 to 2 teams in the field this year. If you add another 21 bid leagues, you got 36 slots available for 6 major conferences to fill. We would easily probably get into one of those at that point.
Yeah, then you're producing 9 teams at minimum.
Yeah. So then you got, but again, all that does, what that does, and why it frustrates you beyond the, aesthetics of it, as we say, losses happen for a reason. You can intellectually wrap your mind around it and understand it occurs, but when you see it, it pisses you off and it evokes emotion. But when you look at that and then you think about it long and hard, you go, well, damn.
Yeah.
Now we're in this situation, and I hate limbo.
Right, and this is where, last night, I call it the roller coaster ride, and we'll see how it continues. You build up a lot of equity with your non-conference schedule, and what you did on the road at Duke, even though it's a loss, it's not a bad loss. And then you come home, you beat North Carolina. Okay, you're in a really, really good position. Then you spend all of that equity, and now you got to make, hay and quick.
It's like me.
And you do.
With money.
Right.
I save, and then I see that television, and I got to do it, Tom. Right. Now I have no money left.
You get ahead again, and by beating Miami in overtime this past Saturday, and you got some equity, take care of business on a Wednesday, and now you got margin.
Pull the trigger on a beach trip, and now I'm out of equity
there
again.
You go.
Now, damn it, I've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
get you out of debt.
I'm going to be all right, man. They're going to be all right, too. I have a sense that, I'm still positive right now about what this team is. It's just that one lingered a little bit into the morning. Woke up thinking about it a little bit. And I'm not one of these guys that overcomplicates a very long season. I get it. You're going to have the ebbs and the flows, the moments where you think the team is sensational, the times which you think, well, they're irredeemable, and then everything in between. But yeah, that one stung a little bit.
Well, you got 8 games left, as you said. Outside of the Virginia game, which I think it's kind of mitigated because it's home, they got a chance to win every single game. Maybe the Virginia one being the most in doubt. If it was up there at the JPJ, then you'd be like, I don't know about that at all. But
I don't think we're going to beat Louisville. No, I think that
percent confidence in a Louisville result.
Very a win.
10%.
Yeah, I don't.
Percent chance of beating Virginia next Wednesday at home.
20.
Okay.
20 to 30. We play well at home.
You are twice as confident in our chances against Virginia.
I am.
Okay.
I think we're going to probably get boat raced against Louisville. I think it was kind of, a little bit of fool's gold what was going on in that first half against Louisville here that built that lead. I don't really foresee that. Hey, the problem is I've been really right about this team this year for the good and some of the bad. I would like to be wrong about both the Louisville game and the Virginia game. I would love it if we came out and shocked everybody and played with a level of intensity on defense that was not there last night, completely absent, and give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance to steal a win against either one of these two teams And I think it's a great sign that even if you're in the loss column with both those games, that you will then take care of business against a Notre Dame or an NC State and certainly a Pitt and a BC. Show me that you can do that this was really and truly just a crazy hiccup, one of those games, like earlier in the year when, was it Duke got blown out by BC or somebody?
Well, BC took it to Duke. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So you said Notre Dame for some reason.
No, but I mean, like, you see that now, you think, what in the world?
Mm-hmm.
But it happens. It does. Let it be one of those. Let it just be one of those where you go, what? That's a weird result. Well, basketball's a goofy sport. That's what I would like to see, and I could see that even with a close loss to Louisville this weekend, I would garner that. That would make me feel much better, yes.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Can something that's truly stylish be truly durable? Yes, when it's the Home Depot's exclusive Delta Everly Widespread Bath Faucet in Spot Shield Brushed Nickel. It's at a new lower price of $129. You save $20. Its soft, modern design means timeless beauty. Its Spot Shield finish means there are less spots and less cleaning. The exclusive Delta Everly Faucet, now just $129 during the Winter Kitchen and Bath event at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through March 7th while supplies last.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Brent wrote at Jay Cameron Show at _Tom Lang. That was Aguayo's problem. He must have been on the take when we were talking about our who could you get? Who are you able to pay off to influence? Yeah, no, not going to happen. Not going to happen. That stat, yes, it came up yesterday, by the way, and it is amazing. But go ahead and reiterate that. I lost it on my feed. The great Tony Gwynn facing the legendary trio of the Braves pitching staff.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn faced Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz a bunch of times in his career. Don't have the at-bats total, but suffice to say it was a lot. He hit for his career 393.
He faced him 270 times, Tom.
270 times. There you go. Struck out just 3 times out of 270 head-to-head combat matches.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable given their stuff.
It is crazy. Yeah, I did find it again while we were talking. It is Tony Gwynn faced the vaunted Braves trio of Smoltz, Glavine, Maddux 270 times. He struck out a grand total of 3 times, and he hit a robust 394 against him. We shorted him a point.
I shorted him 1,000th.
Yeah.
Sorry.
394 is what he hit against them. Career on-base percentage of 388. That is crazy. I do love those stories of the. I mean, it's a little bit like when you go back and look at power numbers for hitters in yesteryear who also did not strike out. The approach was different. Stan Musial, for example, they're guys that were able to hit for power, 30, 35 home runs in a season, which was a big deal back in the day. And you'd look at their strikeout totals, and it's just crazy. They didn't strike out.
Yeah, imagine his approach was today's approach. How many home runs would he have hit?
Yeah. I wonder, the ebbs and flows of the game is something that, in the cyclical nature of things, you go back and you watch, and there's always something that is transforming the game or ideas that are helping the game transition to a different era, and those numbers that are produced are now looked at in a way that they never used to be. And so we take those players from a bygone era with so many of the surrounding factors really not included. And the biggest part of that is, again, I think while I rip modern players for their strikeout rates, again, the players of yesteryear were not facing specialties out of the bullpen throwing 100. Starting pitchers back then 3 times through the lineup consistently, throwing 165 pitches and staying out there, pitching 2 games in a doubleheader and nonsense like that. They weren't subject to a guy rolling out in the 5th who, you cannot hit from the left side. And, career batting average of balls put in play of 0.62.
Sure.
You see that now. You're like, well, this is a foregone conclusion that I don't care that this guy's the best hitter in the game. That dude does not give up hits. He throws 98 and 85 mile per hour slider from that side, and you can't hit it. And so that does alter, the way you view some of those accomplishments.
Sure, and then obviously the pace of play question that goes along with it, because to go get that guy in the 5th inning means how many more do you have to get before the end of the baseball game?
never ends. Remember Mark Appel, ladies and gentlemen? He was the number 1 overall pick in the 2013 baseball draft. He was on that Stanford team that made their way to Tallahassee, distracted as they must have been by exams, or so they fell back on after losing to Florida State. And I feel forever grateful that the Pirates, who originally drafted him and he shunned and said, no, I'll go back to school, I don't want to play for your Pittsburgh Pirates, were able to dodge a bullet because guess what? He's never been able to put it together. He's had all kinds of problems, namely bone spurs. And in 5 seasons in the minors, he sucks. And he's now going to take an indefinite leave of absence from the game of baseball.
Really? Perhaps to pursue more studies.
Well, I'll say this. Snarkiness aside, he's 26 years old. He has a degree from Stanford. He has interest beyond baseball. He'll probably be fine. Just from a franchise standpoint and a snootiness standpoint. What a shame. And I'm not glad that he failed. I'm just glad my Pirates didn't have to reel and deal with that because he failed.
You know, the beginning and the end for me was a Friday night at Dick Howser Stadium. That's when I knew.
I became unhinged by the rowdiness of their fans, or at least at the time, that's what I thought. I thought back on it later, realizing, with the help of my teammates, that perhaps it was our studies that derailed me and not the boisterous crowd. Well, what was it in the minor leagues? It's largely quiet there, Mark.
That's what it would be. He'd say, you know what, years later, I just want to admit this. It was not, in fact, my studies. I was just rattled in the moment. I know that that's a shocking revelation, but I wanted to make that known.
Well, he has had a lot of issues, and his stuff was obviously good. And one thing, again, about baseball that is something we love and hate, it's kind of represented in a story like that, which is that you take a guy that's whatever he is, 6'5", 230-something pounds, who has command of 3 pitches and plus pitches they are across the board and throws 96, and you think, my team's going to be all right. We got that guy. He's great. He'll be up in no time and rescue this sorry-ass staff. No, rarely happens.
Sure.
You grab that guy, but that guy's got to go through a process, and it's an unnatural thing to throw a baseball the way we do, and arm problems are waiting to happen.
Sure. You could even get to the bigs and be solving problems just as they thought you were, and then you turn into mirror boy Matt Harvey, and now you don't have anything.
It'd be awesome if you could develop a shirt, Tom, that is sold at Mets games, embraced by fans who every time Matt Harvey takes the hill wore Mirror Boy shirts.
Well, what if they just wore reflective material and it just says...
Oh, he'd be smiling ear to ear.
Right, yeah, exactly.
He's like, that's right, guys. Yeah, I want to see me in every direction.
This shirt fits your eye.
That's well played. Do it. But the problem is Mets fans don't embrace your hatred of Mets pitcher Matt Harvey.
No, they instead buy Batman masks.
That's right.
Yeah. It's the Dark Knight. Go get him, Harvey.
Yeah.
You love us. I know you do.
Baseball, man. Baseball giveth and taketh away.
You know, it's funny.
Frequently.
In this moment, it reminds me that maybe it isn't college basketball that gets me the most angry. Maybe it is baseball. Could be.
Blown saves.
Woo.
Blown saves anger me more than any other aggravating aspects of sports and teams that I love failures, right? I can watch a football game. We could lose said football game, and it could be a heartbreaking game like the Georgia Tech one was the year we fumbled going into the end zone and all that stuff. And I could point out all the things that bothered me about that loss. But it never hurt me the way that an important baseball game sees your team up 2 in the 9th, bring in the closer, leadoff walk, followed by a single, followed by soon-to-be the watering of eyes that you feel as you sit on the couch and know we're not going to win this game.
No.
He is not going to get the requisite 3 outs we need to win this game. He's going to give up a lead that we have had for the last 8 innings.
Yep.
And we are going to lose a heartbreaking game that sees us exit the playoff picture because he couldn't do his job for 1 inning.
And I have to live through these 10 minutes as it slowly happens.
That's right. Because even though I know deep down it is a foregone conclusion, I must see it through because I also know that somewhere else that is an irrational thought. He could easily induce a ground ball double play here and a pop-up following that, and we get out of the inning. Having won the game, he does his job a little shakily, but he did it, and I'll live with it. That's a possibility, too. Then the other side of your brain goes, he's not going to do that.
Don't
Jeff.
lie to yourself.
He's not going to do that. Here comes a ringing double off the wall to tie the game. Now you're going to wonder whether or not you can just force extra innings.
And in a sick way, you're rooting for it almost. And that's true.
That is also weird, too. Because,
go ahead, hang it. Just do it.
Go ahead. Just get it over with.
You're Rorschach.
Let it go.
Do it.
Yeah. No, it's true. That is weird about baseball. You'll sit there and watch it. Great reference, good movie. You'll sit there and watch it, and you'll say to yourself, okay, if you're going to do it, just get it over with. Get it over. 3-run dong right now. Let him hit it 500 feet. I don't care.
Off the bat.
Yeah.
Flip it off. There goes the television. Well, probably in both ways, I suppose you could.
Oddly, too, we are sadomasochistic because you'll watch that and you'll watch a guy round the bases. Sometimes I'll just stare at it as he's rounding the bases to finish it off.
I will not.
I will do it. I'll go ahead, run.
On the off chance that 500-foot home run was only hit 387 feet, I'll stick around and I'll make sure that it leaves.
Out.
Like, well, I don't know. That may be a poor angle. Maybe he got it off the end of the bat.
Sadly, and we bring it up far too often because it happened to you and your team, but that home run in Game 1 of the World Series,
Alex Gordon, right?
That Alex Gordon hit the straightaway center was pulverized, and yet it looked like a routine fly ball.
Yeah.
And then landed in dead center way up the hill.
Yeah.
You went in cold weather to boot.
No, yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, that's like a 480-foot home run.
What would that have been in July?
Yeah. That was a cavernous.
No, yeah. Late inning issues in Game 1 of the World Series have been problems the last two times. 2000 with the Yankees and 2015 with the Royals. And you win that game, and that's the thing.
It sets the time, changes everything. Yeah.
You lose in 5, but the margin is so razor thin in that World Series that you could have won in 5. Man, really,
that's a toughie. It's good to be talking baseball again. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
It's like the Jeff Cameron Show or Wake Up War Chant. We have it all. Oh, and did I mention that it's all very affordable? We have helped many businesses in all categories solve their marketing problems, and we would love to help your business next. It's easy. Just pick up the phone and call me at 561-8400 during normal business hours, or go to ESPNTallahassee.com anytime and shoot me an email. No matter your advertising budget, we can help you solve your marketing problems and have fun doing it. Let my team of professionals go to bat for your business. Call me today, Alan Willis at 561-8400, and get your business off the bench and into the game today with WTSM 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hendrick.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your savings. Race into Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC for the best selection and service in Tallahassee. Get incredible discounts on racetrack-worthy vehicles, like $10,000 off select new Buicks and GMCs. We are professional grade. And that's not all. We've got a huge used car inventory, so you can find a quality pre-owned vehicle to fit any budget. We even offer low payments and exceptional offers like 0% APR financing. Hassle? No way. Haggle? Never. At Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, you'll deal with people you know, like, and trust, and get the honest, friendly service you deserve. That's why our customers will tell you there's no better car buying experience in town. Visit us today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or online at DaleJr.BuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos Burritos, baby.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9. Happy hour drink specials and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are now available on West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
I am here for, yes, you want debauchery, you want gambling, yes, big bets on all games, spill money, let's be less repressed as a country around entertainment. I'm here for all of it. But you guys haven't been. And the idea that Adam Silver right now is in First Take and he's wearing a blackjack outfit and he's at a dealer's table and says, place your bets. And he wants 1% of all gambling done on basketball.
Smart, man.
It is smart, but I can't believe you guys are meeting this with a shrug of your shoulders because you love judging this bleep. Like, this will send you straight to church on Sundays just thinking about it. Usually, if Silver is in the situation that he presently finds himself in, it's not as a blackjack dealer dressed up, hey, I'm bringing you gambling and fun. It's usually the guy outside the church waving a Bible who says all evil can be found in Silver's kingdom.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Super Bowl 52 is now just over 72 hours away for the Eagles and the Patriots. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen says New England could have some problems with the Eagles' defense.
They're just so good at all 3 levels. They can rotate guys in and out. Of course, Fletcher Cox gets a lot of the recognition up front, but they got 7 guys who really can get after you up front. So if your protection plans aren't really sound, if you don't have a really good idea of how we're going to handle pressure, how we're going to handle this front when they just rush 4, you're going to be in for a long day.
Greg Olsen on Golick and Wingo here on ESPN Radio. Suns guard Isaiah Cannon has a broken left ankle. He took a scary fall after a drive to the basket against the Mavericks last night. Cannon is having surgery today. The Court of Arbitration for Sport overturns the doping suspensions of 28 Russian athletes, including several Olympic medalists from the 2014 Sochi Games. The International Olympic Committee, though, says it is not obliged to invite those 28 athletes to the Pyeongchang Winter Games, which start next week.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
In not so stunning news as we gear up for the Super Bowl. By the way, tomorrow, Lee Sterling going to join us, Paramount Sports. Prop bets galore.
Got to ask him if he's coming up for the spring game.
I wonder how many people get that. Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski will play Sunday, as he said he would earlier in the week. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there to you and tell me if you agree. Doctors have cleared Gronkowski from concussion protocol, according to Ian Rappaport. Gronkowski is scheduled to meet with reporters at the team's media availability today in about 20 minutes. That's all well and good. And he'll be out there. Do you think, because I do, that if Rob Gronkowski, as of, say, tomorrow, I don't know when the cutoff time is in the NFL, where if you haven't passed your concussion test or protocol by a certain time, they go, well, dude, sorry, I don't know if it's actually like on game day. Can you be as cleared as late as game day? Like if the game kicks off at 6 and you get tested at 3 and they go, oh, looks like you're all right, that you can play. But whatever it is, do you feel like even if Rob Gronkowski walked in on a Sunday, day of the game, 2 hours before the game, took the test and failed, they'd go, all right, good to go? Because I do. I don't think there's any way that he would miss the Super Bowl, even if the doctor there, delivering the news said, I've got bad news, Rob. You have not gotten any better. If you start this game, play this football game, and take a hit to the head, you could die this afternoon.
Well, it sounds like, any given Sunday.
Right. Like, if they gave him that news,
I got my $1 million.
I still believe Rob Gronkowski would be like, well, I'll take my chances. A, because that's who he is, and B, because I think the Patriots would say he's fine. He's fine. Well, guys, I cannot go along with this. I mean, his life is on the line, and I have a due diligence in my profession. No, he's fine, Doc. He's fine. I think that's how that would go down.
Just what happens to Gronk, though, when he suffers from concussion symptoms?
You wouldn't know any different.
Is he doing, like, calculus on the board?
He's suddenly a lot smarter, yeah.
He has a British accent, and he's doing calculus problems.
It can only help. But, yeah, that concussion protocol for certain athletes, man.
I was surprised he did not return to the AFC title game. I thought that they would find a way to clear his ass.
You can't, man. When a guy gets up stumbling about and can't see, and it's right there before your eyes, and you walk him to the tunnel at halftime, no. That's too egregious. I just knew that enough time would go by that whether he passed the concussion. I'm not saying he didn't pass. I mean, I'm sure he did. I'm not saying there's, it's on the that this isn't on the up and up. I really believe it's the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah. No, we all know the drill here.
Yeah.
Come on now. And I would argue, sans the tunnel thing, they did allow Cam Newton back in the game awfully quickly. I know the NFL released a 30-page or whatever the heck, it felt like it. It was like affidavits were signed as to everything that went down on the sidelines in New Orleans.
I don't think he was concussed.
He did the arms thing when he got hit. Like Savage did.
But I don't think it was the same. I want to go back and watch that again. It doesn't look the same as the incontrollable handshaking that Savage did. It didn't look the same. I felt like he was just hurt because the way the helmet.
That's what he says, and he's sticking to it.
I believe him. I do. I believe him, and I'm cynical. I'm jaded. I do believe him. I think that's accurate.
It has nothing to do with the fact that concussed Cam Newton threw a long touchdown to Christian McCaffrey that cost me a playoff game. In fantasy. That one play.
That's not why you're bringing this up.
No, the fact that was a 60-point swing in one play because they hit their 100 and 300-yard plateaus plus long-distance bonuses, and I lost defensive points. That has nothing to do with it here. But he was, he was messed up.
Yeah, that'll hurt your feelings there. That's a toughie. Well, I don't know. When I saw the hit, I never thought concussion. I thought, damn, he's getting killed, but I didn't think concussion, oddly enough. The Savage play is like the worst thing that the NFL's ever allowed to have happen.
His arm shakes a little bit, but then he walks towards the sidelines and he can't stay upright. And they told him to get down. Yeah, man, he was losing balance.
He laid down. I don't know, Tom. We see this one
when he dropped to his knee, not when he sat down on the ground.
Yeah, because when he sat on the ground, I was going to say he's fine there. It actually looked like he was milking it.
He was wobbly as he dropped to his knee.
You and I would be officiating boxing matches very differently. I've seen enough out of you. Old quick stoppage Tom strikes again. All of us will be like, why do we have Lang do these fights? It's a bloodthirsty sport.
Yeah, but you'd be the ref that allows about 87 hammer punches in an MMA. You're like, he's still defending himself.
His hands are up.
He's still defending himself.
His hands are up. What do you want me to do?
He said no.
Listen,
that was a whimper. No, that
was the air leaving his body. He's dead. Looked like a defense to me.
You gave him the Apollo Creed treatment.
Yeah. That would be, they'd be throwing in towels.
Throw the damn towel.
All over the arena. Fans are throwing in the towel. I'm like, we're good. Continue. Get it on. I guess I can't. I don't want to kick his face any longer.
Ooh, that was a good punch. Yeah. Fight over. He caught him clean.
Yeah. When I watch that Cam Newton play, I go, he's all right. Stop faking it. Let's go. No, by the way, did you see that story? I don't know if you've seen this. It is cold-blooded. Arthur Blank's not happy that Robert Kraft put 283 diamonds in the Patriots' rings. That is rich.
Did he really?
After New England came back from a 28-3 deficit to beat Atlanta in last year's Super Bowl, Patriots owner Robert Kraft celebrated that comeback by putting 283 diamonds in his team's Super Bowl rings. Falcons owner Arthur Blank was not amused. He told the New York Times that he found it unnecessary and tacky that Kraft would put 283 diamonds in the ring, as if to mock the Falcons for the biggest blown lead in the history of the Super Bowl. I said to Robert, you didn't have to do the 28-3 in the ring, Blank said. It kind of pissed me off. Well, you know.
We have audio of that interaction.
Oh, let's hear it.
I mean, I just came home. I haven't seen you in a long time, and I'm breaking your balls, and you're right away you're getting fucking fish. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend you.
I'm sorry. It's okay. No problem.
Okay, salute. Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Mother...
See, never gets old. Never gets old. It's a little dicey on the airwaves, even with the beeps.
Yeah.
But it never gets old.
A beep, bada, boop.
It never gets old. The tension. See, the whole creation of tension there, that silence, the silence that's allowed to happen.
The jukebox play.
It's just going on, and you're like, oh, okay.
Gives you the vacuum effect of real life.
All right.
When you run into those situations.
It's a bit much. You ever sit at the dinner table in a fight between your parents? And then there's that long, awkward silence. Even if it wasn't an intense fight, but just an exchange that was a little terse.
You know what? No.
Good for you.
No, but my siblings, my, we've had some whoppers.
The awkward silence that emerges from a table, a dinner table, where all family members are sitting and there has been an uneven exchange of ideas.
My mom got involved in one to put it to bed, and that was, it was a snap, woo, here we go.
We're done here, yeah.
No, but we were out. We were eating at a restaurant. And no, not me. It was two of my sisters.
And they were going back and forth?
One of them left.
Wow.
One of them left the table.
Wow.
And left dinner. But it was, oh, man. You talk about awkward and embarrassing, even though you're not involved in it, and shocked and amused all at the same time. Like, oh my
like, this
God,
is awesome.
This is happening.
Yeah, no, I've watched some that are. It's just fun to sit back like, whoa.
Right, when it's not you.
It's not you.
When you
like,
haven't lost your cool.
Well, you're actually deciding in the moment, like who's more right than the other, and
kind of scoot your chair in the direction of the person.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah.
Which side? Yeah. No, unfortunately, my stepbrother and mom had to hear. I went through the rebellious stage, as all 16-year-olds do. Me and my stepdad would have an exchange on occasion that would make everybody stare down at their plate.
Right. Exactly, yeah.
Just like you're analyzing the green peas.
Yep.
You're like, well, I'm going to use a knife on the peas because that'll allow me to look down longer. Even
poking them with the fork a little bit.
And then somebody would just, a one-off, just a little one-off, and they're like, oh, let it go. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go,
Oh, dude, my
failed
buddy.
References to other problems of the past.
Oh, my buddy Roy and his dad. That was the one I told you. When he beat Super Mario and his dad was sleeping. You son of a...
Yeah, no, that's good.
I can't get any sleep around here.
That's fun. It's probably not any more segment worthy. We'll move forward. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574 4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Visit talgov.com/YOU. Check out the City of Tallahassee's Ceiling Insulation Grant Program. The city may pay up to 80% of the installation's cost, up to $400. Having an energy-saving winter is easy with all of these great products and services. Call 891-4U. That's 891-4968 to learn more and be winter ready.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Top of the next hour, we'll let you know Florida State spring game, 6 o'clock on April the 14th, and all of the surrounding fun that will take place, and what almost happened, but thankfully didn't. Also, catch up a little bit on, I guess we'll recap the disaster from last night, which is oh so frustrating. But given that this is a short segment, I get the opportunity to engage and indulge myself with the stories that I love so much, all usually emanating from either Russia or Australia. And this one's Australian, so you can guess what it is. It's always usually, if it's an Australian story of any kind, involving some crazy-ass animal doing damage. That's how Australia works. By sea or land.
Yeah.
You're getting something crazy in Australia.
They stay out late in Australia, and they deal with some crazy stuff.
Really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Magpies and things like that. These birds coming down at you, going to war.
Yeah.
kangaroos beating the hell out of people.
That's right. Yeah.
Spiders that can kill you with one bite and or you could lose an arm.
Spiders the size of Danny DeVito.
Ooh,
yeah.
Woo!
Try that on.
That what? Yeah, we remember that we saw. What were those spiders we saw?
Oh.
Goodness great. We saw a spider. There's that video of a guy trying to kill a spider and it leaps on him.
Yeah,
boys.
dude, no.
I'm not the one.
Oh.
You put a spider up there on the ceiling, and then in the video, a woman, in this case it would be my wife, saying, honey, can you do something about that spider? You're going to get no such video. It'll be a resounding no.
Yeah.
No. You do it.
Do you have a flamethrower handy?
Can we call it in the neighbor? I'm not doing this, man. If you've got to get on a ladder to get to where you can kill a critter like that.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's precarious. You're in a bad situation. I can't do it. What if it leaps? I'm going to fall off the ladder to boot? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So this story, just as a reference, because, again, short segment is always fun, a kangaroo, and you can see the video. If you just type in kangaroo takes out cyclist. Kangaroo leapt out of a bush and took out a cyclist who was going 18 miles per hour in a bike race, and it's glorious. Like the kangaroo got spooked and just started jumping across the road while this guy's hauling ass on his bike, and it's just bam!
Did he drop kick him?
Oh, he takes him down. He's up high, too. It's about the head and neck area. It's always the best. By the way, I used to think the kangaroo stuff where they look like they've been lifting weights on steroids for years. Those are real kangaroos, those guys.
Remember the dude who jacked one in the face?
Yeah, he punched it. And then the subsequent memes were great about him, kangaroo knocking on the door, standing there. That's crazy they look like that, though. With the shoulder muscles, the delts and all
biceps,
that. Yeah. What in the world is going on with these kangaroos? So anyhow, just type in kangaroo, Australia, takes out cyclist, and enjoy. Final hour forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Capital Circle Northeast or online at DaleJuniorBuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
And now, with a behind-the-scenes look at this year's must-buy Valentine's Day gift, is Linda Carlin.
Thanks, Dan. I'm at Pro Flowers and Cherry's Berries, and I'm standing inside one of the perfectly paired gift boxes, and it is big.
Wow, sure looks it.
First, a 65-ton crane lowers 24 beautiful roses to the bottom layer. Ooh.
Quite a sight.
And here, up top, there are 12 massive dipped berries being coated with huge chocolate chips. And now, they're sealing the box, Dan.
Get out of there, Linda. Well, Linda, with all those big, beautiful berries, you won't go hungry.
This Valentine's Day, go big and think inside the box. The perfectly paired gift box from Sherry's Berries and ProFlowers. Visit berries.com now and enter code 3131 for 20% off gifts over $29. Offer expires 2/13 or while supplies last. Discount cannot be applied to shipping and handling fees. See berries.com for details.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
It's Golic and Wingo.
Alex Smith just came off a season where he threw for over 4,000 yards for the first time, completed 68% of his passes, had 26 touchdown throws and only 5 interceptions, and it wasn't good enough in Kansas City. Well, it wasn't good enough because they are all in on Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
The kid they drafted last year out of Texas Tech.
Man, I get it if you're going to be all in on a young quarterback. And remember, Andy Reid and the Chiefs moved way up to get Pat Mahomes. But my gosh, I'm amazed at what goes on with Alex Smith, getting ousted in San Fran by Colin Kaepernick and now ousted by Pat Mahomes, a guy who has done nothing. Listen, he's going to struggle. Pat Mahomes did not play his rookie year, barely at all. There is no chance on God's green earth he comes in next year and lights it up. He is going to struggle, and there's something amazing to me about the fact that you have a Chief team that can win now, that you're going to go now to a young quarterback. I'm a little surprised.
Golic and Wingo, weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Super Bowl 52 is now just over 72 hours away for the Eagles and the Patriots. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen says New England could have some problems with the Eagles' defense.
They're just so good at all three levels. They can rotate guys in and out. Of course, Fletcher Cox gets a lot of the recognition up front, but they got 7 guys who really can get after you up front. So if your protection plans aren't really sound, if you don't have a really good idea of how we're going to handle pressure, how we're going to handle this front when they just rush 4, you're going to be in for a long day.
Greg Olsen on Golic and Wingo here on ESPN Radio. Suns guard Isaiah Cannon has a broken left ankle. He took a scary fall after a drive to the basket against the Mavericks last night. Cannon is having surgery today. The Court of Arbitration for Sport overturns the doping suspensions of 28 Russian athletes, including several Olympic medalists from the 2014 Sochi Games. The International Olympic Committee, though, says it is not obliged to invite those 28 athletes to the Pyeongchang Winter Games, which start next week.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always. Miss anything, feel free to go back, get caught up at your leisure. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Always on Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. WTSM app for mobile devices. Also within that mobile device, that Twitter app will allow you to find archived audio there as well, which is good. If you want to watch the show being performed, you can do that too. Go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee, or stay on Twitter and follow 97.9 ESPN Tallahassee, the Twitter feed there, and you'll see that we also Periscope the show. All right, so we're all set, right? We got to buckle up now. Now we got to buck up, kids. It was all fun and games a moment ago. Then you go on the road and lose to Wake Forest. And damn it, man.
My mistake, Jacoby.
Yeah.
Your mistake indeed.
Indeed is right. All kinds of trust built up and just thrown out the door. That's what you do with kids, right? Like, now listen, I'm going to leave you alone. You've been really good lately. I like, you've been making good decisions. And every time you make good decisions and you back up our trust, then you get more. You get more opportunity to have alone time. Well, that's it. I've removed the alone time from Florida State basketball. I went to the store and I came back, and what happened? The dogs were stuck in the back. They couldn't get out of a room. You weren't paying attention. They began to dig up the floor, and now I've got to replace the carpet because you weren't paying attention. That's Florida State basketball's road game against Wake last night.
That's very specific.
It is very specific. In your life? Something like it happened. But that said, yeah, because then you walk down the hall and you go, what the hell is going on with it? Why are the dogs locked in your room? How did that happen? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I'm sure they've been barking. You were playing video games so intently you forgot and didn't bother to go check, right? Isn't that right, Brian Angola? Is that how we have 2 points on the road against Wake Forest?
No.
43 points given up in the second half? So, you know what? Next time I have to run errands, you're hopping in with. That's right, you're going to Walmart. You're going to CVS. You're going to Walgreens. You're going to Publix. All the places kids go, no.
Bend over.
For us, it is kind of strange that it was a little bit predictable. That this could be one of those iffy games. It does have the feel of a trap game coming off the big emotional win over Miami in overtime, and then you've got a looming big-time contest against Louisville on Saturday, and this is that team that largely has been overlooked at 8-13, 1-8 in the ACC, haven't played well at all. I don't think that our guys looked at this as a formality. I don't think they went out and played the way they did because they didn't give credence to Wake's chances at home. I think that it's human nature to some degree, and they were somewhat indifferent early in this game on defense. They did establish themselves. They do go on a run. They're up 10 with 3:27 to play in the half. They exchanged points. It's now 39-29 with under 2 to play in the half. You're in a perfect position, but you kind of let it get away a little bit late there in the half. And in doing so, with those, a couple turnovers there late, and what you see is Wake Forest scores 4 points going into the tunnel, and it's 39-33. And I said earlier in the show that I thought that's kind of an underrated moment in the game, because if that doesn't play out and you take it to the locker room up 10, I do think there's a here we go again scenario in play involving Wake here. They have lost 7 in a row, and they, no matter what they seem to do, it doesn't work out. And it's very easy to fall into that trap. It's what bad teams do. It's why one performance has the effect on the next that it does. When you're having a bad year, man, falling into the going through the motions aspect of the game is commonplace. And when you win and you're used to winning and you win big games, and when you come through the other side in games when you don't play well, you believe the whole time that it's going down that you're going to win the game. So that's all in play at the end of a half, and you don't get the stops and you don't protect the basketball, and it's suddenly a 6-point game. And then all of a sudden, in addition to that, you don't start the second half well, which has been a bugaboo all year long for this team. And Wake goes on a 10-4 run, and we're merely 3 minutes into the second half, and it's tied. And you can bet on it. At that moment, now you've allowed a team that didn't believe to believe. And it's hard to beat people, even people that aren't very good, once they think they're going to win.
Yeah, the things I'm mad about are, the situations we didn't handle well down the stretch. But I feel like that disappointed FSU dad picture, the guy with the mustache.
Yeah. Just sort of.
That's the mismanagement of the first half and then not being able to get stops early in the second half. Because, there have been lessons, paid our way through the Louisville game and some of the second halves that we got away with. Syracuse is a second half where it gets a little dicey, and obviously it gets pushed to overtime. You get away with it, so you hope at some point you learn the lesson.
We almost get away with it here, too.
Sure.
We end up taking the lead late, and I was hoping that would push the panic button for Wake, the inner panic button, if you will. But, again, you make some boneheaded mistakes. You also get called for a non-foul that really, again, because we did so many things wrong, I don't want to fault that call. But it's a big call to make on the loose ball that Florida State's going to get after an empty possession for Wake, with really good defense in regards to what Florida State did. You've got the lead. I think you're going to win the game if that play happens. But they call the foul, and all of a sudden the lead's gone and the pressure's back on you.
Agreed. And there's any number of things that you can point to as the reason for last night. The point of a game, any game. Football is the king of this, but you have to put all these things together to get the idea of what actually happened. But for me, it's just the most disappointing parts are some of the fouls we took when there was no need, absolutely no need, and you could overcome everything that we just talked about, everything that's gone wrong, if you manage a couple of those moments just a little bit smarter. And that's where, even from veteran-type players, I know CJ's only been here a couple of years, but he's been around long enough to know not to tug on a kid's arm when he has no chance to steal the ball, when they're trying to get it past the timeline. That's your fifth foul? That's the most precious one, too. So I hated to watch that, and Gola took a bad angle, and obviously he had an awful night from the field. The one shot he did hit was big and a big moment, but
he's a tough kid, man. I'll give him that.
Well, he had, no fewer than 14 points in every ACC game coming into this one, so you could say he was due for a dud, but still.
Tough night to have one.
A bad foul, too, and then the Kofor reaching, 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and a key possession in the last couple of minutes of the game. It's just so many dumb things that you didn't have to do that if you're smarter in those situations, if you have a bad night, you can still survive it against a bad Wake team. That's just, ouch.
We do drop with the loss from an RPI 33 to 44. All is not lost. It is probably still a team that is in good position to make the NCAA tournament, but they do have now more work to do because of the loss. The buffer is gone. The wiggle room is gone, and you got big games coming up, tough games, including 2 home games that you can't chalk up immediately in the win column, which is the Virginia and Clemson games. Of course, you do have Pitt and BC as well. You got to win those games if you expect to go to a tournament. But coming up on the road against Louisville is not likely a win. So it will get dicey, and you're probably going to have to find a win somewhere along the way that maybe you hadn't anticipated getting, and that includes a road game against Clemson or a road game against NC State or maybe a road game against Notre Dame. They're out there to be had, and the team has shown the ability to beat good teams too. So I don't want to overlook all that had been accomplished prior to last night's stinker, which was their first bad loss of the season. But it's a toughie, and it's tough pill to swallow, as I said earlier in the show. Now, Florida State is set for the spring football game. Willie Taggart and his crew will unveil their shiny new product on April the 14th, I should say. Garnet and Gold game taking place 6 o'clock, Doak Campbell Stadium. $5 if you buy in advance, right? $10 at the gate.
This is what I read on War Chant. They're broadcasting, in the $10 one if you just show up, and it has to be cash on game day, though. We'll say that again, obviously, when we get closer, but if you're waiting till, the game day itself, you got to bring 10 bones in cash with you, or 20.
Post-game concert, and I'm celebrating the fact that it's a throwback time in Tallahassee, right? We got the baseball game at 2 o'clock.
That's correct.
You go to the spring game afterwards. You watch Salt and Pepper and Vanilla Ice and Rob Bass, and you kind of goof off and have some fun and remember some things. And it avoids a certain trap that I thought we were getting into lately with the themes of concerts at Doak After Dark around here. I had some reads earlier in the day. Tom and I put them in the can. We were all set to go. I did my best to read them. I know these are very popular artists here in the South, and I think a lot of people would have been happy with this concert lineup. But instead, we do get Salt and Pepper, Vanilla Ice, and Rob Bass. But this is who we were scheduled to have. And after the game, the fun continues as the Tallahassee night sky will light up with fireworks and music from the Southern Sensibilities Tour. Artists such as Alabama-Georgia Border, joined by Eli Whitney and the Cotton Gin Buckets, Cotton Fields, George Washington Carver and the Peanuts, Yeti Calloway and the Salt Life Susans, Sawyer Brown and the Riverboat Jessies. Tracy Tritt, winner of the AMA Male Country Rising Star Award, will perform his hit single, This Is My Country. Breezy Moss and the Southern Fields, and Grandpappy's Pipe, the Nathan Bedford Forest Fires. For ticket information, log on to springgame.com.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Neese Tire and Auto Service. Neese has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Neese Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Neese Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough. tough like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Diagnosed with gastroparesis, you might qualify for a clinical study that tests a new medication for nausea and the symptoms of gastroparesis. Qualified participants will receive study-related care and medication at no charge. Call 844-902-1212. That's 844-902-1212. This ad sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis.
No problem. Good flight?
Yeah, Oh.
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Did you stop?
Chicken
for fast food?
nuggets. Not today. Why? Oh, chicken nuggets.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9, happy hour drink specials, and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are now available on West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So are we doing this from now until next October? Because, good Lord, I think we will have given away every seat in the house.
No, it's 5 pairs. So, yeah. So this is pair 3.
All right, so time's almost up. Make it happen, folks. Live Nation has announced that Kevin Hart is on the Irresponsible Tour and that he will be coming to Tallahassee at the Tucker Civic Center on October the 12th. Tickets are on sale right now at thetuckerciviccenter.com. You can win a pair right now if you call us at, we'll go with the second caller today. Just the second caller.
Okay.
523-3776. Make it happen. 523-ESPN, 523-3776 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Kevin Hart's show in October. So you got plenty of time to prepare. But Kevin Hart, Irresponsible Tour, Tucker Center in October. Tickets go on sale soon, but you can win them from us right now, caller 2.
You could buy them now, but, we're 1 month closer to this event. It's like it's basically tomorrow, so just win them from us.
It'd be a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Free stuff is a good thing.
I guess I gave away the detail that there are 2 more pairs to be won.
You did give it away. But don't worry about that. It's all right. It's all about helping out the listeners, people that are excited. We had, and it was on the up and up, although it was suggested that it was not because everybody is aware that we are friends. Tarif Knockout, local rapper, won the tickets yesterday.
He did indeed.
And I was happy for him.
I was too.
Because I think he was elated.
Mm-hmm. Never heard of the other person who won them.
No, he was nobody.
Yeah. Until now. Be a somebody.
Come on down.
Win the contest.
I have thought, though, man, imagine, speaking of announcer voice stuff, that that would be the best job in the world on The Price is Right. Roddy. I mean, that is...
Yeah.
You just wear your sequence jackets every day.
Exactly
and
right.
You you do it up.
It's a hell of a jacket.
You get as flamboyant as you want to. That's your cup of tea, and you get after it by announcing people's names and say, "Come on down." And you want to bet that dude's a millionaire?
Oh, he has to be.
Multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Multimillionaire for simply being flamboyant and having a good voice and announcing names on a show that is the best game show, I think, of all time. Are we going to argue this?
No. We wouldn't argue this one. The funny thing is, I've asked a few people who are, older, daytime television watchers.
Yeah.
Retired.
Yeah.
Drew Carey, thoughts. And I've gotten 2 people to tell me that they think he's better than Bob Barker was. And I've gotten 2 people who said it's not the same without Bob Barker.
Well, because you grew up with Bob Barker, and I loved Bob Barker, and Bob Barker had the better voice and presentation. He was a born professional TV game talk show host. That's what he was. He should do that, like he did do that, as he should have.
Right.
Whereas Carey was a comedian and became a host, and he does a fine job. Whenever I see him, he's good. He does a fine job.
But
I miss Bob Barker.
I find it interesting because these are 4 older people who know Bob Barker's entire career or most of it.
Oh,
so
Bob was solid as a rock.
I expected to get 4-0 Bob, but I got 2-2. So I found that interesting.
Well, I'll give you the distinction because I am still a fan. On the rare occasion that I'm ever at the house for any reason, sick or something, and that show comes on, it is the treat about staying home. It is the one thing where you go, you know what? If I got to be sick, at least I can watch The Price is Right. Like, there's nothing else, maybe other than a movie you've been wanting to watch. But,
Price is Right and Soup, man.
That's
there
it, right?
is.
You're sitting there, you're like,
then it's nap time
yeah.
once the news comes on.
That's right. I watch a little Price is Right, I'll be all right. So here's what the distinction is. Bob was much more buttoned up. He would allow things to happen. So when the people would freak out and give him a kiss and jump all around, he would almost resist it. He would know it was part of it and have fun, and he held his little skinny microphone, and he would kind of laugh, "Oh, all right, when we come back," and he would do his thing, right? So that was the way he handled the juxtaposition of an over-the-top emotion and professionalism. Well, Drew will, celebrate with him and laugh and hug him and be like, "Yeah, all right." So he's kind of like one of them.
Okay. So he's in because he grew up as a Price is Right fan.
That's right.
He's got the job of a dream.
He's much more in on it. He's much more like, "All right, yeah, let's celebrate this." And he'll laugh with him, and he yucks it up. Whereas Bob was like, "Listen, I'm the host."
Right. Bob cared about 2 things: the beauties and
Bob cared about
the putting game. He would always take the putting game very seriously.
Because I think Bob, wealthy as he was, fit a certain archetype. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why he was in, the Pro-Am and Happy Gilmore.
Right. It was perfect.
Because he was of, the golf culture.
But, of course, he loved animals, so that's a good thing.
If he didn't, then he sold it every day.
Yeah, he did a great job with it. All right, so it's Super Bowl week, and we're talking about The Price is Right. That's how I roll.
Oh, I mean, shoot. How much time can you really devote to Patriots and
I had an
Eagles?
epiphany, though. I got to tell you that. It was last night while I was watching more Super Bowl coverage. I'm intermittent in my Super Bowl coverage. I'm looking at the numbers and all those things in the historical context for Brady and Belichick and the Patriots, and then also what it would mean for Philadelphia. And I think I came out the other side. I'm going to pull for Philadelphia.
There it is. All right.
I knew eventually
you're going with Philly.
I am. I think so. I think the Patriots have won so much that I'm capable of rooting for a team and franchise that I hate.
That is saying something. I think Philly's going to win, but I'm pulling for New England.
You're pulling for New England?
I am.
Or are you just not actively rooting for Philadelphia or against New England? I think you're just probably going to watch the game because it's Super Bowl when we watch the game, but I don't think at any point you'd be like, "Come on, let's go New England, let's go."
I'm not rooting.
We need points on this drive.
As a testament to Matthew, I'm not rooting against Philadelphia as fervently as I would.
Right, because we like him.
Yeah. But if he wasn't in the equation, I would be absolutely rooting for the Patriots.
The Patriots have recorded 11 sacks in the postseason, which is the most in the NFL. 8 different players have done that. Their defense is not like it was for, 10 weeks of the season. They are a different animal, as we knew they would be, and as we discussed on the show yesterday. That's, you let them hang around, And so I'm afraid that statistically speaking, all of the numbers that you do in comparative analysis are rendered somewhat useless, because if you do that, you would say that the Patriots aren't great on defense, and yet they are playing great on defense.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, so I don't know.
The thing is, though, if you look at what they've faced so far on the road to the Super Bowl, it's Tennessee, and then it's Jacksonville, who actually put up some decent numbers on them. So, I look at the trenches and I say that Philly is better. But mystique matters, and you only get one crack at this thing, and being able to handle the moment matters too. And New England will not be afraid at any point in this game.
Well, this is why I am excited about the game, because it's a good matchup. It's not the matchup I wanted to see. It's not the matchup I would have rooted for, but it is a good matchup because I think both defenses are going to carry the day. I think New England is going to do a good job against Philadelphia's offense, and I think Philadelphia's defense is going to do an outstanding job against New England's offense. I think New England's offense is in trouble.
What I find interesting about this game is there's a lot of demons for, Belichick and that defense, because they did have a hard time going against some zone read principles earlier in the season. Obviously, Doug Peterson being on the Andy Reid tree, right? Mm-hmm. And they will get out and run RPOs like crazy and run them at a decent pace. So, to me, it's important that New England puts this thing down quickly, because if Philadelphia gets rolling, Foles knows how to run that offense just fine.
Yes, he does.
That's the danger here for New England, is you got to get off to a good start defensively.
Something pretty cool earlier this week that came out, and I saved it, and I've been meaning to go over it with you just because it is something that I root to have happen all the time. For years on this show, I've talked about how it's really bothered me that a lot of the coolest elements of the college football game and the offenses that are run in college don't translate and make it to the NFL. And if they do, the people that run them have it beaten out of them. But that's not true anymore. The article I'm referencing is one by Alex Kirshner, and it's called How College Offenses Infiltrated the Super Bowl, explained by star former coaches. And the coaches are looking at film while talking to Kirshner and letting them know about what's different and why that is. The opening to that article, for example, reads, last September, Sonny Dykes sat to watch the NFL season opening game between the Chiefs and the Patriots. Dykes, recently the head coach at Cal and then an offensive analyst at TCU, has coached college football since he was a graduate assistant at Kentucky in 1997. He noticed something about the pro game that he was watching. Watching that game, I remember thinking, well, this looks like a college football game. They were both playing kind of college offenses, frankly. Were really diverse in what they were doing. They were using lots of misdirection, just like we do in college. They were using some of the quarterback runs, both teams. I thought, well, this is fun to watch. I'm quoting him. The Chiefs used a series of misdirection and option plays that have been common in the college game, but foreign in the NFL. They conned New England's defense all night and scored 42 points in a surprising win. The Chiefs were near the tip of the spear that now includes pretty much the whole league, including the team they beat that night and the Eagles, who the Patriots will play in Super Bowl 52. Quote, 10 years ago, maybe even 8 years ago, everybody in the NFL ran the exact same offense, said Dykes, now SMU's head coach. It was all kind of an I formation thing under center. Everybody ran the same stuff always. All of a sudden, you're seeing a little bit of that college game proliferate in the NFL for every team. And he's right. And this year, and that article is much longer than that, they talk about what the Patriots have borrowed from the college spread, and they give you illustrations of it.
Oh, they've been doing that for years. Yeah. Out of the gun, a lot of stuff out of the gun.
A lot of the stuff, yeah. They'll show you the swing pass stuff or the decoys and all that good stuff, all the eye candy that you see from the college game, all the jet sweep stuff that teams were running in college at Texas Tech back in the early 2000s, those kinds, all that stuff. That wasn't in the NFL.
Right, yeah.
That's all. You see, every team runs jet sweep stuff now. Talked about
you see pistol in the NFL a lot.
Yeah. And they're talking about the varying alignments that you never used to see in pro football that you see now, all born from the college offenses. And it's true. The Eagles, they were talking about a game that they were watching in which they beat the Broncos 51-23. After that game, Denver cornerback Chris Harris Jr. called Philadelphia's offense a college offense. He cited the Eagles' use of a run-pass option earlier in the game. And, of course, we've talked about RPOs around here for a little while and the types of RPOs that Jimbo would allude to that we run and the ones that are being run by everybody else.
That fourth down one against Bama was important.
Yeah. RPOs have become a vital part of offenses in college, and now they've filtered upward toward the NFL. In that Denver game, the Eagles used RPOs to go after two different Pro Bowl defenders, Aqib Talib and Von Miller, because you put defenders in conflict, and it's an unfair situation, frankly, especially the way they let it be run in college football where linemen are downfield.
Yeah, it's not that way in the pros.
It's not that way in the pros, and
it's
that's
buttoned
why
up.
it's much more fun to watch. But if you want to learn more about that, find that article. And my favorite part of it is it's not just written and quoted with the coaches, but they give you exact illustrations of both these two teams and how they've run those college elements, if you will, to perfection this year in some of their more significant victories or biggest plays. Again, it's by Alex Kirshner, and it's called How College Offense Infiltrated the Super Bowl, explained by stars and former coaches. Fun article. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
For Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car. A used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachian Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis.
No problem. Good flight?
Yeah, Oh.
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Did you stop?
Chicken.
For fast food?
Nuggets.
Not today. Why?
Oh, chicken nuggets.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This Day in Sports History.
February 1st, 2004. The New England Patriots beat the Carolina Panthers on an Adam Vinatieri field goal at the end of Super Bowl 38. But it was the halftime performance that sticks in people's minds. While performing with Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson had part of her bra ripped off, and the term wardrobe malfunction was coined.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Super Bowl 52 is now just over 72 hours away for the Eagles and the Patriots. Panthers tight end Greg Olsen says New England could have some problems with the Eagles' defense.
They're just so good at all 3 levels. They can rotate guys in and out. Of course, Fletcher Cox gets a lot of the recognition up front, but they got 7 guys who really can get after you up front. So if your protection plans aren't really sound, if you don't have a really good idea of how we're going to handle pressure, how we're going to handle this front when they just rush 4, you're going to be in for a long day.
Greg Olsen on Golick and Wingo here on ESPN Radio. Suns guard Isaiah Cannon has a broken left ankle. He took a scary fall after a drive to the basket against the Mavericks last night. Cannon is having surgery today. The Court of Arbitration for Sport overturns the doping suspensions of 28 Russian athletes, including several Olympic medalists from the 2014 Sochi Games. The International Olympic Committee, though, says it is not obliged to invite those 28 athletes to the Pyeongchang Winter Games, which start next week.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
A day, Tom, but I kicked out of that rain-soaked cardboard box. Welcome to February. This morning I woke up downright gleeful. Never have I been more ready to tell a month good riddance than January. Not that anything tragic happened to me or my family or anybody close to me. It's just, good God, interminable. It just, we were in January forever. And so I woke up this morning and went, it's February. Baseball starts this month.
Yeah.
That's what happens this month. Baseball starts.
Yeah,
You're damn right.
Last night you could say that we are still in the month in which I watched Oklahoma, Georgia, and Clemson, Alabama.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Eons ago you watched that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did. I've never experienced that. I really did begin to get January tired. It's a weird thing to say. Like, oh, if I wake up another day and it's January. That's a stupid thing to be upset about. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even real if you think about it. But there it was.
Yeah, that just means you're going to be in March that much quicker. That's how this happens.
Yeah, I did. I woke up and celebrated. I think the other thing is that I really celebrated the fact that I woke up in a month in which baseball starts. Across the board. In college, pro, it's starting this month. Oh, don't you just welcome that? I haven't checked your baseball sensibilities yet. Mm-hmm. And that you're probably, maybe like me, not particularly excited about your own team's prospects, meaning pro baseball. maybe you are. You should be more than me. My team's got little to no shot to be any good. You got, at least if they come back healthy on the hill, a shot to be good.
And the story of the last decade.
Right. Well, I mean, that big giant F and a big giant I before it, I got you. But I'm saying...
Sometimes instead of an I, it's a big giant U. Just F-U.
But you can't know, right? You don't know that. So I don't know. I just my team's not going to be any good, and yet I love the sport so much that I welcome nights in which I go home. There is a freedom that when baseball, if your team is bad, so if you know it going in, they're just bad, there's no way that roster can produce a playoff run. Although anymore, I mean, nobody would have guessed the Twins were going to go on a run last year. So you hold out a little bit of hope. Hope springs eternal, as they say. But, you know, if you're pretty pragmatic, you say, okay, well, my team doesn't have enough plus players. We're not going to be very good. I'll watch some of the young guys. It'll be fun to watch the young pitchers develop, you know, when we call our best prospects up and things like that. But the freedom comes when you say, well, I just love the game. So now that my team's not any good, I'll just pick the game of the night, the best pitching matchup of the night, or the best, you know, battle between elite teams that I get, or a series. It's beautiful in that way.
Yeah, for me, it's I get to opening day. I really enjoy that, but then I switch back to hockey mode because my team's good.
Well, and you and I are both in that boat. I stay in hockey mode too, but I am a baseball guy.
Yeah. So, see, I'm a hockey guy when push comes to shove, and so and it's also about when the season is. You know, again, we're pushing for the playoffs at the time that baseball is beginning, so I can keep track of what's going on with the Mets, but I don't have to live and die by it every single night. Not until, you know, my season's over, however long we get through the playoffs. However, for this year, I am genuinely excited, given the way the season ended with Florida State baseball, to watch us play at Dick Howser.
Yeah, we're good.
Some years I'm like, oh, I'll catch a game when I catch one, you know, or I'll find it on ESPN3, or I'll grab that Seminoles.com simulcast where they just have the camera at the batter's eye. If I can. If I can't, no big deal. I'll check the box and I'll look at, you know, people who were there and what they had to say. Yeah. Not this year. I'm excited this year.
I'm excited to do something a little bit different than I have in years past if I have the time, because my kids are old enough to do this now, and my oldest is playing out at Meridian and all that. And I'd like to take them to games and keep score. Just sit in the stands and keep score. I mean, that's I did it for a long time when I was in college. I did it just out of college, and I did it you know, years and years and years ago as a kid too. But I haven't done it yet. I'm ashamed to say, with my son. I've taken him to games and I've told him how to keep score, and at home I've shown him, but we haven't sat in the stands together. Just circumstances haven't allowed for it, where we could just sit down and keep score. You know, that more than anything else does allow you to kind of invest in the space and in the pace of baseball. The thing that you find yourself wrapped up in almost by accident, and you look up, it's the fourth inning, and you're disconnected in a good way because you're wrapped into that and that alone, and it's like two people on earth.
Yeah,
you know, it's we don't do enough of it in, you know, all of us in general, and baseball kind of, I think, brings that to the surface more frequently.
Well, like, man, if you do something as simple as writing or drawing, and not on a computer, like you just do it.
No, you
like
literally write or draw.
Like it's a
right.
project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you disconnect, and that's what this is. It's a project plus you have a conversation piece right out there on the field before you.
Isn't it weird? You're bringing up something that interests me greatly, and it's going to happen more and more. People are looking, as the world gets more connected, to disconnect. So these kinds of conversations, thought patterns, and the vetting of what was gained by laboring to finish something that we now use technology for. You know, and I'm not one of those guys who thinks that everything was better in yesteryear, and I'm not one of those guys. Like, there's been a huge vinyl movement. Yeah. I mean, I loved records. I loved to hold records, to be able to, you know, and I've talked about that. There was a process of investment. You had to sit and listen to an album. You couldn't just skip to number 4. You know, you could, but it was a task. You had to go over lift the top, do the needle, the whole thing. People didn't do that. You listened to the record. So I liked that aspect, but I'm not one of those people who thinks it just sounded better. No, it didn't. Didn't sound any better. Listening to a CD or digital music sounds fine. It sounds good, and it's convenient, and I'm fine with it. You just have to make a decision to listen to a whole record instead of being lazy and going, oh, I'm going to skip to 4. I like that one. You know what I mean? But So I'm not one of those people who gets wrapped up in that kind of nostalgia and insists that things were better. But I do think there are things that are lost about process. I agree with Jimbo on that.
Yeah. No, yes, there are things he said that you go,
that's true.
He was right.
Well, you like to write. You used to like to write. I mean,
yeah.
I used to write a lot. There is something gained about writing in cursive on a printed page your thoughts, ideas, the outlines for a story, structure.
Yeah.
So there's something really gained there.
Well, even lists. I used to. One thing I really enjoyed when I was interning here and then I was an assistant. Well, not here, but at the other place, was when you're compiling stats like the old-fashioned way. You don't go to a sports reference site.
Remember them, by the way.
Right. Exactly.
That's what happens. That's how I learned. I found that out early on in school, that if I just wrote something down, I would always remember.
As simple as hash marks and counting the hash marks once you're done, then double-checking your stats and verifying that things were right.
Yeah, Wasn't that cool?
Sure.
It would be set to memory.
When I was the prep guy for the show, exactly right. There would be like things, okay, so you'd know what you're talking about with the Florida State sports, but if you wanted to touch on, what's going on in the NBA playoffs or something, like, all right, well, let me go the hard way and take a look at, what's happened the last 4 or 5 games, and I'll look at those numbers, and I'll compile them. I get out the calculator. That's a lot of fun. I do the averages. That reminds me of being a kid, and what I would do is I would do batting averages. I would calculate my own, and then I'd compare it against what the box score says, but I'd cover the box score. So then I'd take a look and see what a guy's done or what he did for a series, and then I'd see in the article, oh, that's right, he did hit 460 in the series. You know what I mean? Like those types of things. Projects, man, they're fun, and that's what again keeping score does, because then you're talking about the situations as you're filling it out,
and you're invested, and you will put to memory the results of that game because you wrote everything down. So the next time, maybe a month later, 10, 12 games later, that you see a certain lefty-lefty matchup, you're reminded of the game that so-and-so, who happens to hit from the left side, actually went 3 for 4 versus that starting lefty.
Yeah.
And you would tell the person around you, this isn't necessarily a bad matchup. I know I've watched him against lefties this year. He's been very good. And it would stick.
Yeah. No, I got to tell you, he doesn't know this, and you can't know it. But my nephew, what he does in Atlanta, I mean, he is a sports nut. And it's not. It's his dad's influence. It's his interests. I don't interact with him enough for it to be anything that my job influences what he does. But he'll show me his notebooks of all the stats he keeps and all the rosters and the players on the rosters. Man, it is nostalgic therapy, because I did the same thing. And for a kid to put that in a notebook. Mm-hmm. In this day and age, and write it down.
Continue to encourage that, buddy.
I do, and it's just so cool. It reminds me it's one of those things when you do it, it's like bowling. You're like, I should do this more.
That's funny you bring that up. We do that with bowling.
I should do this more. I should get my own spiral notebook and just keep tabs of things.
When shortly after Kurt Cobain died, there were a series of books that came out. Everybody was looking to cash in. And some were obviously just salacious tell-all nonsense books. And some were really thoughtful, well-put-together books. And one of them, somebody got great access to the inner workings of Kurt Cobain and his family and his life and his friends and his writings and his drawings and his art in general. And they were able to reproduce his notebooks where he was writing lyrics and he was writing lists. You were talking about lists. He did something that I completely related to, and it made me smile. It made me think of him fondly in this way. When he was a kid, when he was a high school kid, he would write down his favorite albums, and he would do the top 50 in a binder, and he would write down the top 50 albums. And he'd go back a year later and make changes. Well, he would get an album out of there that he thought was great, and he would be supplanted by some other record that he had heard. And he kept this ongoing list, and so you could see the maturation of his musical tastes and where they were going. And he would do it with songs, too, like favorite songs. And there would be outliers. So you'd have all this punk rock stuff, and then there'd be a couple classic rock tunes. You'd go, that's interesting. You really like Queen. Okay. And then in the middle of the Buzzcocks and something else, you'd be like, oh, that's fascinating.
Hey.
Yeah. And then there would be one that's a complete outlier, like a disco song.
Mm-hmm.
Where he loved, a disco song. It'd be 37. And if you went down the entire list, you're like, wait a minute, Night Fever by the Bee Gees is number 37. And you're picturing Cobain, this punker, going, Night Fever, driving down the road, quietly trying to, not make sure that anybody hears it. Yeah.
No, that's true. We all have that, don't we?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things about Facebook before it turned into the devil. And that was when it was the .edu site. People put their favorite movies and music on there.
And they weren't worried about being bombarded by a-holes.
No, exactly right. And so you could, take a look at what their tastes are, and you'd find, you'd say, oh, this is all similar.
No,
but
we
who
might
are
get
these
along.
guys that they like?
Oh, well, I'll have to
So, you go
discover that.
try. Yeah. I always enjoyed that.
Well, that's why Pandora's a winner if you're talking about music only.
Yeah.
Because you just type in a genre that you like.
Right.
Represented by, say, 5 bands you choose, and the next thing you know, within hours, you've probably discovered 4 to 6 bands that deserve some investigation.
Yeah. There's this one guy, too. He's a friend of mine. He's on the acquaintance side of friends, but I like him. I only met him a couple of times. But he lives down in St. Pete, and it's not stalking because it's social media, but he has a list that I enjoy, and I've never told him I enjoy it. He is a film buff. He loves film, loves the hell out of it. Like, he goes to every movie.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He's obsessed even.
Yes. Oh, yes. But he'll put out a list of his favorites for any number of reasons in any number of time periods. So it'll be genre-related, year-related. So when he puts out his list, the tweet gets 0 likes and 0 retweets.
You're like, I love it,
But
buddy.
I'm like,
Keep it
yeah,
going.
there you
Way
go,
to
Brian.
go. Well, my buddy Stephen Rafferty graduated from FSU Film School, and he is a film nut, to say the least.
Yeah.
Worked in film out in L.A., and he puts out lists, too. I think all film guys are like that,
He put
by
out
the
his
way.
top 50 for the year today, and it has 0 interactions whatsoever. But I saw it. Woo! Brian's top 50. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, but don't like it because you'll draw the wrong kinds of people who will then want to comment, especially just
Correct.
because
Yeah.
it'll sully everything.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. He doesn't even know.
One note, I brought up baseball originally just to celebrate the fact that we're in the month in which it starts, but yesterday the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Tampa Bay Rays announced that they're going to join the parade of teams who in the past several months have announced plans to extend protective netting to the far end of the dugout. So with that, what you get is all 30 teams now having done so. Major League Baseball announces. Well, you had that a tragic situation a year ago. I had this conversation at a hockey game down in South Florida recently over the holidays when I saw the Panthers play Montreal. And we were talking about, we were sitting behind one of the goals and up above the glass.
Above glass, yeah.
So the netting was there.
Yeah.
And there was actually a situation where kind of near us, a puck hit the netting. And we were talking about it, and I said, good thing the netting was there because there were like 7 people not paying attention. They would have worn it.
Yeah.
And I thought we started, that kind of created this situation where we said, does the netting bother you? And I said, no, I don't ever notice it. I don't even see the netting. Like, after 5 minutes or so, I don't see the netting. I just see the ice. I just see the puck. I just see the players. And he said, does it ever bother you at a baseball game? I said, no. You can put netting around the whole damn stadium. It wouldn't bother me at all. He goes, aren't you confounded by these people who are livid about the netting? Because that exists. There are people who are like, no, I paid good money for my seats down here by the dugout. I don't want any damn netting. You're like, dude, you're at the dugout, man. You physically cannot get your hands up in time on a line drive if you're sitting on the third or first base line leaning against the dugout. You cannot do it.
No, I agree. And, I could see the argument of being first row and you have to kind of get used to it. But beyond that, you get used to it and your focal point
2 seconds.
is. Yeah. No, I was actually a season ticket holder. My parents were, I should always say. Not my money. For Lightning hockey when they transitioned after the Espen Knutson tragedy where the little girl was killed.
Yeah.
And we would always sit kind of off to the side, but it was covered by the netting area. And it took maybe a game.
It's nothing.
Right. It was up in the beginning because it's a black net against white ice. You're
Right.
like, oh,
and you can't
God.
see it. But then
No, all of my memories since then, cup.
you don't see the net.
I don't.
No.
No, I see the ice clear as day.
I'm the same
and that's
way.
what's crazy.
Well, this all came about because of the child last year that had to receive or did receive, multiple. That's a weird way of saying it. Had multiple facial fractures and bleeding on the brain. That was that mess of a situation at the Yankees game last year in the foul ball, and nearly died. And I remember at the time thinking, well, that's the end of that. We don't need to go through this anymore. What are we doing here? Let's learn and change and adapt and grow up here. What do we do?
Yeah, at some point,
ridiculous.
the bravado of saying, well, this is where you sit. You have to be active when you sit down here. This isn't for kids. Like, okay,
Can we go enjoy baseball?
I
game, not
suppose
worry
at
about
some
dying,
point,
man?
we don't all have to be like these hard asses.
No.
We could just calm the hell
No.
down and put a net up. It's not that big of a deal.
Deep breaths, everybody. There's still a lot of panic out there after last night. I know we talked about it. It'll be all right. You tweeted it out. I saw this morning. I wasn't looking at my Twitter last night because I knew, but I saw you tweeted it out last night, which is the roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this. It is, and if you're a bubble team, and we may have just etched ourselves back in that category without question, then you're going to have really good wins and really bad losses and a whole bunch of stuff in between, and you can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater. You gotta live with it, man. You got to understand. Okay, last night, a lot of bad, a lot of frustration.
Now we've had a bad loss.
That's the first one this year. If I tell you at the beginning of any season you're going to have one bad loss, get the hell out of here if you're upset with that. That's what happens. Now, listen, you're right to be mad about it, but you can't lose sight of the bigger picture. They've now got to go get them one, maybe one that you didn't even put in the W column.
Right.
But they can. They can.
They have. They've already done it a couple of times this year. But
okay.
Come on, man. Well, that was. I get it. Listen, it's basketball. I get it.
Yeah.
But
they had a stinker.
Tomorrow we could preview Louisville, and we'll all be over it, right?
Well, we're going to lose to Louisville, so get that. Wrap your head around that, guys. We're not going to beat Louisville. I'll tell you something right now. They beat Louisville. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a wager or something tomorrow to make it fun. They're not beating Louisville. They're not going to. Louisville's going to have a really bad night.
I don't know the last time I beat you in a wager.
It's been a while.
It has been.
I have been rolling Big River. Big Daddy J ain't taking no prisoners.
No. That's actually quite annoying. Because the Alabama one is the one that I absolutely earned, and I was right. And then they bring in Tua, and it's just, okay, never mind. Excuse me while the backup lights this thing up like he's been a 3-year vet.
I'm 2-0 with my Alabama wagers.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I, more often than not, side with Bama to win games that are big.
That was a result, not a process.
Oh, I'm going to continue to thrive on the Alabama results because they win more than they lose in a way that's obscene and annoying. And when in doubt, I don't care what kind of observation you make, just bet on Alabama to win. Just bet on it. Because they have the ability to go to a kid who's going to be a Heisman winner next year off the bench.
What the bleep,
You know who we went to when our quarterback got hurt? Yeah, a true freshman that had been here for an hour. They went to Tua.
Yeah, because we had a kid with an off-the-field problem and one who punched a woman. Lovely.
Well, and another one that he completely whiffed on that's been here for 10 years, holding a clipboard. Not Alabama. They went and grabbed that kid. I'm just saying that it's frustrating, but it's real. What are you going to do? Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be well. Have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.